I wanted to get a program outside my home country.
In my search,
I'll say I had a major internal crisis which affected me mentally.
it actually made me lose hope and interest, anything that had to do with my career.
Luckily for me, I had arolf.
I think it was in 2020, around August, September. I met a friend.
I wanted to get a program outside my home country.
In my search,
I'll say I had a major internal crisis which affected me mentally.
it actually made me lose hope and interest, anything that had to do with my career.
Luckily for me, I had arolf.
I think it was in 2020, around August, September. I met a friend, and through the friend, I met Flora, that's the CEO of arolf. I told her about my plans to travel abroad, told her about the courses that I preferred, and she said it's no biggie, it's no worries, and she would handle it all.
Information overload was actually a major problem for me in my search for the right university. The abundance of information available online can be overwhelming at times. However, arolf helped me by filtering, the informations and providing relevant and accurate information, which made my decision-making process easier. It was really amazing and it was stress-free, I must say. They left no stone unturned and they really helped in guiding me through the visa requirements and application processes and educated us on the regulations in these countries, what is expected of you as an international student, the do's and the don'ts.
So yeah, without thinking twice, I'll highly recommend arolf International Consult to anyone seeking to study abroad, because arolf International Consult will go extra miles in achieving your goals.
They're very effective and they're reliable. I've actually not seen anyone from arolf who hasn't gotten admission, who hasn't been successful in the application process. They are top notch. I recommend them anytime, any day.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Good evening, everyone, wherever you're joining us from, Nigeria, Ghana, whatever country, because we can see that there are different people from different countries joining us today. Welcome to Study Abroad Masterclass. This happens to be our fourth masterclass. Our first masterclass was with me, where I did a very thorough breakdown for everyone who wants to study abroad, providing you with guide that you need, especially with writing personal statement. Our second masterclass was with Patience, a South African who was studying in Ireland, providing guides to scholarship. And then, of course, our third masterclass was with our third masterclass, oh my God, why can't I remember his name? Oh my God, our third masterclass was actually with someone who was in Canada. Yes, he was studying via the masterclass scholarship, fully funded scholarship. That was our third masterclass. And today for our fourth masterclass, we have with us Funmi, who is a PhD student in the USA, providing us with all the guide that we will need for everyone who wants to undertake a PhD program. And if you want to undertake a master program and you're wondering how these events benefit you, the guide that you will get from this masterclass are actually applicable to your my master class, master application. So you're welcome to this master class. I will just give us room to tell us where you're chatting from. Give us room to tell us where are you chatting from. Let us know. Yes, our second master class was by Samuel Adesanya. I will never forget his name. So please let us know where are you joining from. Let us see where you're joining us from so we can see. Okay, if I'm aware you're joining from. Oh, good evening. I'm happy to. Oh, yes, we're happy to have you here. Kano, Nigeria, Ghana. Keep it coming. Let us know where are you joining from. Ghana. Okay, this is good. Kwara State, Nigeria. Benga from Nigeria, you are welcome. From Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria, Delta State, Nigeria. From Ghana, we seem to have a lot of Ghanaians here. This is so good. Tells you a lot that we are brothers. However they want to do on Twitter, we will always be brothers. So we have a lot of people, Kaduna, from Nigeria, Abuja. Nice to have you all. From Warri South, nice to have you on. From Ghana, from Accra, Ghana. We have from Ghana. We seem to have a lot of people from Ghana. You are welcome. Keep it up. Let's know where you are joining from. We have read your emails and your expectations, and trust me, this will be beyond the regular master class that you have had. This is an intense master class. Our guest is highly prepared for this master class, and we are young Africans passionate about helping young Africans access global opportunities. So we're doing this because we know that there are opportunities out there for you as young Africans to take advantage of. And there are lots of information that a lot of people do not even know. These informations are readily available, but some of them will need you to do extra search. We need you to take the extra step to actually get to know about them. So you're welcome. Say 1 more minute, we'll get to know people joining us, and we will go right on into our first presentation. So hi, Taiwo from Ibadan. I'm guessing you have a twin. So where's your twin? Is your twin with us? You are welcome from Ogun State. Nice to have you, Caleb. You all are welcome to today's masterclass. Let's begin with a quick introduction. Okay, yes. So today's agenda, first of all, we're going to know about arolf International Consults. That's a company that has organized this masterclass. And we're going to know about the host, that's myself, Flora Ipen. We'll get to know about our speaker, Funmilayo, and then we'll get to know, we will not get straight into the masterclass, which is going to be so intense. I am particularly excited about this masterclass. I mean, before we got on the masterclass, Fumi and I had a meeting. I'm like, oh my God, like there's just so much for people to learn and understand. And I am so happy. And then we're going to have question and answer. We assured you that a lot of questions will be answered here, and we are ready for those questions. And then we'll go on to our closing remarks and other necessary information that you should know about. First of all, what is arolf International Consults? Now, if you're just knowing arolf for the first time, arolf International Consults is an international higher education consultancy firm. We've been in existence since 2019, and over the years, we have helped hundreds of Africans and their families relocate abroad through studies. Now, arolf was born out of a passion of actually helping young Africans connect to opportunities in the world. We understand that education is a powerful tool. Actually, it's a tool that every society needs for development. And for African as our continent to achieve the development that it should achieve, competing with developing and developed society, education is a mandatory access for every young African. So we are doing this by empowering young Africans to gain access to educational environments that will foster creativity, that will provide them with solution-oriented learning and progressive growth. And over these years, we have successfully helped quite a number of Africans to actually achieve this. And we take pride in seeing our clients over the years go on to thrive in different parts of the world. Now, one of the things that distinguish us from ARF International Consult is the community that we have built. Now, every client of ARF will tell you that we have a very strong support system. If you go to a country where there's an ARF client, you would almost not be stranded, because if you go to that country, for instance, and you need accommodation or something, we always find a way to connect with someone who is willing to support at the time. We've done it for people in Australia, we've done it in the UK, in different countries, and it's something that we take pride in. We organize events sometimes that bring together some of our clients to discuss about career opportunities. So with arolf, you're very sure to get very good opportunities, very good information that would actually help you thrive in any country that you find yourself. So this is arolf International Consult, and we are glad to tell you about us with full pride. Now let's get to know me. My name is Flora Ipen. There seems to be a lot written on this screen, but I'm just going to be very brief. My name is Flora Ipen. I'm an international education consultant. I have been in the international education sector for over 6 years. First, working with an Australian-based company headquartered in Sydney, down to founding arolf International Consult. I am very passionate about education. So aside running an international education consultancy firm, at the heart of my pursuit is education, particularly education for young children. One of my lifetime commitments is to provide access to opportunities for all the young children that are out of school. Nigeria, for instance, has over 10 million out of school children. That has been one of my biggest concerns. Academically, I love to learn. I have a bachelor degree from the University of Benin, Nigeria. I have a master degree from the Quantic School of Business and Technology, USA, which I secured full scholarship to study. So it means that for my first master degree, I did not have to pay any amount to study. And I also have a master degree from the University of Northampton, UK. I function as the Chief Operating Officer of arolf International Consult, heading the affairs of arolf. I am an author of 2 books, Accessing Global Scholarship Opportunities for Undergraduate and Postgraduate Programs. So in this book, I broke down every detail people need to know about opportunities, how to position yourself for these opportunities, what to do to secure these opportunities, and resources that can actually help young Africans secure these opportunities. I also wrote how to write an outstanding personal statement. Now, from my experience, especially because I have been trained by Australian I organizations, it's the fact that we have seen a lot of students struggle with writing personal statements for both admission, visa, and scholarship purposes. A lot of people do not even know how to explain their skills. A lot of people do not even know how to, in a very clear way, talk about why they want to study a particular course. So I wrote that book to help people clearly, easily express themselves in a way that whoever is reading would understand, would get on their journey, and would actually be convinced that they have strong reason why they want to study that program at the school they want to study, or why they are fit for the scholarship that they are seeking. So that's like a quick one about me. Now let's get to know about our amazing speaker. Oh my God. Our speaker has such a wonderful background. To think that we both did communication, and you can see her trail in communication. By the way, our speaker wants to be a professor, which is mind-blowing. So we are going to have a session with somebody who is a born teacher. The difference between somebody who just wants to talk or wants to guide you and someone who actually knows how to teach is so wide. Someone who knows how to teach will take the time to break things down. So this masterclass is that masterclass for you. Funmilayo Ogunsanwo is a dedicated scholar and communications professional with a rich academic background and a passion for cross-cultural media psychology. She holds a bachelor degree in mass communication from Wesley University, Ondo State, and a master's degree from Clemson University, the USA, where she served as the social director / PRO for the Association of Nigerian Students. She's currently pursuing a PhD in communication at Georgia State University, USA. Funmilayo's research focuses on advancing studies from global perspective. Beyond academic pursuits, Funmilayo actively contributes to student community as the vice president of the Association of Nigerian Students at Georgia State University, where she also, oh, sorry, at Georgia State University. I can't seem to see that. Okay, Fumi will definitely tell us more about herself when we get on. But yeah, Funmilayo actually serves as the vice president of her school's association for Nigerian students. So it means that Fumi provides an environment that enables Africans in that community to actually thrive. So that's something really to talk about when we get on in our class, because we all need that community to thrive. Quickly, for all our participants, I can see that we have such an amazing audience today, very wonderful people. We're just going to have 3 guidelines for our class today. The first one is active participation. Please pay attention, listen, write if you need to write, take notes. The questions that you have to ask, feel free to write down your questions. And then when it's time for question and answer, you can put them on the chats or in the chats, and we will go right ahead to pick up those questions. Another thing we want to talk about is the fact that please let's be respectful to each other. We all have a different learning pace, so irrespective of what question anybody asks, please be civil and let's have a wonderful learning time together. All right, I am going to welcome Funmilayo, who is going to take the stage at this time.
Hi everyone. My name is Funmilayo Ogunsanwo. Laura basically already said everything, so I don't know what else is left to say. But not to be redundant in everything she had said, I did do my BSc in Nigeria in mass communication, and currently I'm also doing my PhD in communication at Georgia State University. In all of those, before I came into the US for like my master's, which I did at Clemson University, and I also studied for free in the sense that like the school paid for my tuition and they were also paying me, and all I needed to do was just to like teach their students the basics of communication. So these were like the major things that I did. And before I did that, I basically worked at a travel abroad company where I worked for like 3 years. So the whole process of like travel abroad, writing scholarship, letter, and all of those fun stuff is right within like the things that I like to do, the things that I like to talk about. And interacting with people so far, I have gotten to see like so many miscommunication, misplaced priorities, and so many things like that, that I thought to use this webinar to talk more about. So please, if you have questions in between or whatsoever, just pile them up in the comments. I can see them as well. And then we'll go ahead and like answer all of them. And if there are any questions that doesn't seem like an answer, I probably would ask you like to break it down in a way that really helps me help you as well to break it down. So Flora, anything else?
Oh no, that's nothing. So we can actually proceed with our session. Just to mention, I can see that some people are on WhatsApp. They're on a call. I don't know how that happened. But please, if you know anyone that's on a call on WhatsApp, we're not using WhatsApp for this. Everyone has to join the class here. So for me, yes, we can get on.
All right, so help me with my slides. All right. So thank you. All right, so we already talked about this first part of the bio, so we don't have to like go further into it. So going deeply into the whole conversation around scholarship, which is something everybody traveling from an African country or even from an Asian country is something we want to learn, because we don't want to move into one country and then we are like stranded. But first off, Laura, is there a way to take off this this thing on Caleb from Ogun State? Is kind of blocking my slide. Can we take that off?
Yeah, I'm going to take that off right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So the first thing is, why exactly do we apply for scholarship? Scholarship it's complex. It's, to be very honest with you, it's like a 50-50 situation. It's not something that you would apply right now and be sure that you will get in. Because there could be like scholarship available to, let's say, 200 people. But rest assured that there are like millions of people applying to be in that position. So how do you best fit that you're the best person for the position? So, and I use position in this context because scholarships are basically like a position that you're being offered. And I know of so many consulting firms that would most likely lie to you on the basis of no matter what your grade is, you definitely will get a scholarship and things like that. Let's be very honest with each other. There are some grades you have to have. Like even people with first class do not get accepted for some scholarship. They do not even get accepted for a school. So as much as your grade is important, how you position yourself is also like a very important part of it. But as we talk more, these are things that we'll talk about and then just try to tackle to take away misconceptions, to take away misinformation and anything of such. So one of the reasons why we apply for scholarship abroad is to get access to like quality education at world-renowned institution. In sense of you don't have to think of money as something that will restrict you from getting the kind of education you want. Once your school fees is paid for, that gives you access into different kind of rooms. That's when you see certain individuals who are probably like Nigerians who are currently studying in Harvard, not because they can afford it, but because they have scholarships, which gives them the ability to be in spaces like Harvard. And then we also do this for like financial support to ease the burden of tuition and living expenses. I often tell people who are coming from an African country to the US, it would be very tough. In fact, your first 2 months, do not think, oh, I have friends in the US. I have friends there that will help me, things like that. If they're sending you money right now, they are trying. Because when you come here, the dynamic has changed. So many things has changed that it almost looks like you are on your own. But when you have a scholarship out of it, you know that the only thing you have to be bothered about is probably like how do you pay your living expenses? How do you pay your how do you probably pay like your bills and things like that are most likely the things that comes to your mind. And in this situation, your school fees is gone, so you don't have to think much about it. But let's say you have to pay your school fees, you have to pay for your rent, you have to pay your phone bill, you have to pay this one, pay that one. It gets so overwhelming that the purpose of you being in school just leaves. Like you're no longer there. You're no longer the person that was excited to come. But once the tuition is there, it makes it an easy landing for you. And then he also like brings back knowledge to contribute to Nigerians' development. I'm sorry he says Nigerians there, but because I was thinking like the people I would most likely have here would most likely be Nigerians. So I'm surprised to see that we have people from everywhere. So we can substitute Nigerians for Africans if that works okay. So we basically apply for that so we can bring back the knowledge, which is something we all say when we go for like our visa interview, because that's basically the idea of wanting to learn in an international setting so we can take back this knowledge back home to enrich our local community. And then we also do this for opportunities for like professional and personal development. And I included this because scholarship doesn't just only include like covering your tuition. You can get scholarship that sponsors like professional growth. You can get sponsorships that like helps you connect with people in like a career path that you want to walk around. So we often have this kind of scholarships. Like I know Google currently has this kind of scholarship where if you currently school in the US, they offer you the opportunity to like pay for conferences for you to attend. They give you the opportunity to go for like career development plans or like professional development plans, if that's the right word to use. So all those scholarships are right there, which in my following slides, I most likely will talk more about the different kind of scholarships that we do have. But it's very important to know why we want to apply for it first. And then it also gives you the ability to like network with like global peers and experts in various fields. So one of the, which let's to summarize this slide, I'll probably say that like scholarships are like very important, especially if you come from a space of not being privileged. Even those who are privileged still want to go for scholarships too, because it really looks good on your resume. It really looks good on maybe you wanting to apply for grants in future. You probably wanting to apply for jobs in the future. Seeing that like you were able to win certain scholarship, it gives this it gives employees this certainty that okay, this person is someone that will be a very great addition into the team or someone that we can basically rely on. But then it also opens doors to spaces you never thought you could open, like you could get to. Because you're probably thinking, oh, I probably went to Unilag. How am I sure that I can go to this school? Or I probably went to this so school. How am I sure I can do that? With scholarship, you basically have like everything at your ends and you have the opportunity to school practically anywhere. So, going on types of scholarship, there are various types. But one thing is, I've often seen Africans in general focus basically on just one type of it when there are so many scholarships that you should go for. So we have the merit-based scholarship, which is basically based on your academic excellence and leadership. This is very, very important. Like right now, if you're going on the ideology of school is scam, people who come out with third class are the ones who become more successful eventually, and those things we used to say. I will tell you to drop that ideology like right now. Because right here in the US that I stay, your school is basically not scam. There are some jobs you can't get if you don't have certain grades. In fact, some of the jobs will tell you what CGPA they are looking for, which you're probably thinking, why are you wanting to know my CGPA for a job and things like that? But they will really want to know what CGPA do you have compared with what other skills you also have for us to be sure that we can employ you. So if you're still currently in school right now, school is not scam. If you have plans to travel abroad, focus on that thing right now. Work your grades up right now. Because in these kind of situations, you can get like full funding where you don't have to stress. And in this kind of situation, we have something called the graduate assistantship. And graduate assistantship is basically like you working for the school and then the school paying you back. Like you work for them, they pay you, and then they pay your tuition. That's how it works. But as we talk more, I will like share my story on how like I was able to like get this kind of like assistantships. Then we also have country like specific scholarship. So there probably like there's some scholarship that are open that will tell you that you probably have to be Ghanaian, you probably have to be South African to apply for this position. And I think for most scholarships right now, like Nigerians are so populated that they're like, okay, we are done having so many Nigerians. Let's have some people from like other countries as well and things like that. But don't make that discourage you. Just keep checking what other things are there. And I keep saying just keep checking. So let me put this out there. The whole process of getting a scholarship is a lot of work. Like it's not something that you just do once and you think it works out once. Like it could take you months, it could take you years trying to get something together. For me, the journey of starting to travel abroad, it basically started 2017. Well, I was able to leave the country 2021. It took me that long. It took me years of planning, of putting things together. So don't just see like you have a plan of traveling in 6 months and you want it to work immediately. For some persons, it will work, but for some others, most likely not. So don't rush yourself, take it as slow as you need to be, and know that like research is very important. Research is very important. Those times that we be on Twitter checking what's going on, those times that we stay on TikTok watching TikTok, use that same time to like go into research. Check into like different country websites, maybe through like their embassy page, and see what available scholarships do they have for what certain individuals. And then we also have the full versus partial scholarship. So what does this mean is for full scholarship, they cover everything. And everything includes your tuition and your living expenses. While the partial scholarship probably just pays part of your school fees. And partial scholarship is promising, but if you're coming from the US here and not like you have parents or you have family or you are buoyant on your own to pay your tuition, on a partial scholarship, please look for more before you move out of your country. Look for more so that you don't come here and be stranded. Because if you can't pay your tuition, they are very quick to like put in the whole deportation process in place and have you sent back home. So we also have the need-based. And need-based is specific to what exactly you need it for. And these people often target individuals who are from like the low income backgrounds. And an interesting story about this was a friend who handles like scholarship for their school based on needs has mentioned how I'll talk more of Nigerians. How Nigerians would basically say things like, oh, before I could go to the nearest library, it took me 2 hours to work. Like we begin to give sad stories that are very not realistic without remembering that, okay, maybe it was in the past that these people are not fully educated about like where we come from, what our story is. As we're beginning to like debunk the stereotype they have about most African countries, they are beginning to like wake up about things like that. So when you tell them, oh, this is the story, this is what the story is, and things like that, and it's not true, it says a lot about your credibility, and that could like influence your likeliness of getting one. So we also have the program specific scholarship. And this basically focuses on like specific field of study. So if you're like in STEM, for example, you most likely get the scholarship. And in fact, those in STEM get scholarships a lot. Those in STEM get scholarship a lot. So for art humanities, is like we have to do extra work to find them. But like there's so many companies out there wanting to sponsor like STEM students because they're like new research work that keeps opening up every day, and all the time. So this slide just let us understand different kind of scholarships, and I'm open to use this slide to like open up your horizon into thinking of like not putting yourself into one box of what scholarship should look like, but having you also think of like different kind of things that you can open yourself to. So one thing I want you to take out from this is school is not scam. Put those grades together. Work hard for those grades. Like do it if you plan to get out of that country. If you don't, it works. But if you plan to like move out of the country to go study and all of those, please go ahead and do so. So I'm seeing a question of someone asking what is STEM. So STEM is basically like sciences, technology, engineering, and medicine or math.
Mathematics.
Yes, math. Yes. And which I've always wondered why they don't like, because of my friend who is in nursing, they don't
Mm.
count them as STEM.
Nursing is part of STEM. It falls under sciences.
Exactly, it is. But for
Yes.
her, because she was trying to talk about like her OPT or something like that, and then she was like, this school where like she doesn't really fall into like the requirements for STEM.
Are you
And so
serious?
that was
STEM.
very weird to me because I'm like, she should be in sciences in a way. Anyways, so we also have like what I want you to take out from this is put your grades together, begin to adopt like research skills, and begin to adopt like patience as you're working through this. So look for those scholarship that speaks to your CGPA. Look for those scholarship that speaks into like your situation. Maybe you just can't afford it. Look for those. Look for scholarship that speaks more to your area of interest. Look for them. Look for scholarship that probably maybe covers this or covers that. Like be very specific and intentional in the search that you're looking for. Don't just go into like broad search and things like that. Just you have to be able to connect to like an application before you apply. It's like a job that you're looking for. They tell you what the requirements is. They tell you what the skills you need. You should be able to like connect to all of these things before you can apply, or else it's like waste of you applying when you fully know that like you don't fit into any of these boxes.
Yeah, for me, let me add something, please.
Yes.
So there are some scholarships that might be profession specific. Now, while we have program specific, some might be strictly for architects. So if you're an architect, for instance, now there might be some scholarships that it's just stated for architects. Some might be women in business. So if you are female and you've been in business for a while, or you have some sort of leadership skills, but because you are female, those scholarships are there. So like she said, broaden your search because there are more opportunities beyond the very niched ones that we get to know of often. Thank you.
Yes, I have a very good question right here.
Mm.
Do I answer that now or should I wait till like the end? Which is
Maybe we can wait. How are
okay.
you able to distinguish students who truly have needs? Oh, so guys, please for questions, right? We're gonna just keep the questions. I think we should so that we don't miss some questions. You can just write them down somewhere. Then when it's time for the Q&A, you can ask those questions, and we'll be so glad to answer those questions.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So moving on, where exactly do we find this scholarship? So I thought to include this slide because everyone wants to look for like that trending scholarship. Everyone wants to look at like that popular scholarship. But a shocker or something that I've realized is there's so many other scholarships out there that we just won't apply for because we don't know about them. Well, we like Fulbright scholarship is something that everybody knows about. So everybody targets Fulbright scholarship. Like they have millions of people who applies to be in Fulbright. And when you talk of millions of people from basically every country applying to get that position, even if you qualify, you have everything they ask, you have the grades, you have everything. There's a likely chance that you still won't get in, or you still won't get like the scholarship or something like that. So while we have all these common ones, look for all those ones that they don't really shout plenty. Because even here in the US, like schools complain about like how they have funding out there for people, but like nobody probably applies, or they just get people qualified enough to fill those positions. So my idea for this is don't follow the crowd. Look for your own. Like take your time, look for those specific ones that are probably like uncommon and apply for that one. Because you almost like have you almost have you like you probably have like more chances with things like that. So we have like the government scholarship, which I probably already talked about a bit, where I talked about the fact that like government scholarship basically covers like individuals who were probably looking into like people who are probably looking into like countries, like their embassy sites, or countries who probably do more with like probably looking like their embassy sites. You probably will go to like their embassy sites and then apply for like what scholarship positions they currently have available. And we currently have people like Chevening websites, we have the Fulbright, we have Commonwealth. All these are like government sponsored one way or the other. But to find the others, the best thing for you to do is to go into like those scholarship basically from uh, let's see, probably going to like those into like their embassy websites. You can get there from there. Or probably some organizations, some countries actually have like their country specific websites. They
Yeah.
can also go to find things like that. Or a Google idea that I can give you to do something like put it in apostrophes. Do you understand? Put it in apostrophes one way or the other and write something like, I'm sorry, I mean quotation marks rather. Put it in quotation marks and put it on Google and be like maybe government sponsored scholarship for students in Finland. So like your first few white sites would take you there one way or the other. It would take you there one way or the other. That's like an idea that I learned moving to the US to study. Then we also have like this university scholarship. And this was how I got my scholarship to like be here. And that's a story that I will share eventually, or I could probably share it now. So with university scholarship, something that I did was during my NYSC, every time that I got home, I bought this higher education that I got from the school I was teaching then. And when I get home, I was so specific on the fact that I only want to study in the US. I don't want to go to other countries. My friends are talking about UK, they're talking about Canada. I'm like, no, I really want to go to the US. I would prefer to study in the US. So what I did was the US has over 50 country like states. So with each state, I was checking. So what are like the top schools in each of these states? And I was writing out the top schools in each of these states. I came to like over 200 schools that I had narrowed down. So what I now did after I had those specific schools, I started going into the school, check, do they have the course I'm interested in? If they don't have the course, I narrow it out. If they then have the course, I go into the requirements that they have. In their requirements, did they talk about like the likeliness of being able to fund my tuition when I come in? Or are they talking about like helping me with something, or maybe like helping me with like reduced tuition? Or are they just talking to me about like designing what my cost will be? All those sites that will tell you, okay, go to this link to design what the cost will be. I just took them off my list immediately. I just didn't want to work with them at all because I'm like, I don't want to go through that stress of I've gotten into the department and I start looking for funding of other places. So I think I played safe by looking for those ones that have it on their website that says if you get into this degree, you will get this funding. So those are the ones that I really focused on. And that was how I got into Clemson University, where I did my master's. So I put in schools like Oxford, Harvard, because again, everybody wants to go to the top ones. But there are like other schools right there that you can basically go to that are equally respected out there. So take that time, look for specific schools, go through their website specifically and look and just walk around them. And I have people ask me questions around, so how do I even find schools? Google. Google is your answer. How do you find something? Google is your answer. The same way we'll go to Google to give us ideas of what outfits to sew for this certain wedding. Google can also help you with that. It's not like there's a website where all the names of the school are at. You have to like be proactive in your search. And if you're coming to study in a place like the US, and I'm saying the US more because this is a system that I'm familiar with, your research skill is something that you need to start like learning right now. Because by the time you come here, you will definitely be destabilized one way or the other. And talking with that as well, while I was doing my research then, I also focused more on like R1 schools. And R1 schools are schools who are like research based. And these schools are schools that like you have companies like Google, you have companies like BMW, Chevron, and things like that sponsoring them. And I know with Clemson, their engineering department, their automobile engineering, they currently have like a partnership with BMW and things like that. Like, and because of that, there are other departments also that have partnership with different companies. So the school has the money. The school has the money. So it's just you. Does your research fall into one of these things that they're helping this company to do? If it does, you have the opening right there. You have the opening right there that if the advisor who you are talking to loves your work or is interested in you, they are likely to want to employ you. So again, one thing I want to take out of that is look for all those specific schools. It doesn't have to be the popular school everybody knows. Look for specific schools that fall within your interest, and also ensure that it's like an R1 school to some extent, because that increases your chances of getting scholarship more. And then we also have like private foundations, like the Mastercard Foundation and the Gates Foundation. And I think the application comes out like every year. This is a very, very competitive one. It's something that I wished I applied for, because every requirement they were asking were things that I had. But I feel like I was intimidated by the number of people that that it just kept showing that we're applying. And as at then, I was checking what are those people applying and things like that. You see people with like so many experiences that I do not have. People that have traveled to Spain to study, people that have traveled to this country to study, people that have published this so things. And I'm like, okay, I probably would not fit this. However, because I thought so, doesn't mean that you as a person cannot do like any of those. And then we also have online portals. And I think I probably mentioned them a bit, but we have some portals who are more of like helping you put in scholarship like links together. Then we also have like the Erasmus scholarship. This is one that is like very popular, and I have a friend who is into like agriculture, and he got to study in like Ukraine. It got to study in like Spain and so many countries in all in one. Like I think it got to study in like so many countries in Europe under the Erasmus scholarship. Then when he finished that, he moved to the US to now start his PhD. So all of these scholarships are like they're out there, they're available. Where to find them is like the biggest question of all of it. So you can start firstly with Google. Like Google is your best friend. If you input something into Google, it brings out different websites that you can begin to look at one after the other, one after the other. Probably when you're in the bus on your way home somewhere, you could be doing that. Probably when you're probably waiting for like the bus at the bus stop, you could do that as long as it is safe to do so. Like Google is your best friend in all of these things. And as you're reading Google for all of these things, you also have to like be very you also have to be very intentional in what you're looking for. Don't just follow if your friend that is doing mathematics tells you that you're doing probably something like communication, that oh, apply for this scholarship, they're doing this, you're doing that. It's almost like people are in two different fields to start with. Scholarship that applies to him might not apply to you. So it makes sense to find scholarship that are basically like specific and tailored for you, because that increases your chances. So the career requirements for a scholarship, they are like so many requirements. However, I was able to like break it down into this, which are basically all of like the most common requirements in all of those. So we have strong academic records. Like they want to see that you are good at whatever you say you are good at. And one thing to show that is great. One thing to show that is great for sure. Like there are some scholarships that they don't even need you to write anything. Just show them the good grades. And once you show them the good grades, they probably go further into like interview sessions and wanting to know more about you and grilling you and things like that. And then we have like the standardized test scores. However, this is something that not all of them requires. So do not write like a test score till it is required. And this is a common mistake that I find with we Africans, where especially those who want to go to Canada. Once they say, well, I want to go to Canada, the first thing they check is IELTS. Like, first off, did the school ask you to write it? The place you want to go to ask you to write, like the scholarship application, did they ask you to write it? If they did not, why are you spending the money that you could have been keeping for other processes to do like IELTS? For me, I didn't write the GRE. I didn't write any of those. In fact, the department that I wanted to apply to in Clemson as at then, one of their requirements was the GRE. And it was also written there that if you get in, you will get funded. And in all of the requirements there, honestly, was only the GRE that I didn't have. So I emailed the grad coordinator as at then, and I told him that is there a way they can waive the GRE for me? Like it's something that I don't have and I don't want to write it and things like that. Like I didn't write it like that, but like I put my arguments together on why I don't want to write the GRE. Not like I don't want to write the GRE, on why I didn't have the GRE and things like that. So he told me to give him like some time to get back to me. So with that, the they had like a committee that came together to speak. And immediately after the conversation, he emailed me and said, "Oh, like the admission committee just had a meeting, and we've talked about it that we should take off GRE requirements because that doesn't test your ability to like do research and things like that." And I'm like, okay, maybe this was just God putting the way for me. And luckily, the man said it. While I was waiting for his response, I had already reached out to like all my recommendation letters, people that will write for me, all my recommenders. I've reached out to them. My research work that I needed to submit, I had put them together. So immediately he just said what he said. I just went in. Immediately he just said what he said. I just went ahead and just applied like immediately with no stress or anything of such. So again, the reason I just gave this story is like standardized test scores are not like if are not required except if like the scholarship itself asks you to write it. So then we also have like statement of purpose or motivation letter. Please, if you can, write this yourself. If you can, write this yourself. Like just write a draft yourself. And then you can begin to reach out to people who can like help you write it better. But if you just send your CV to someone and just tell them, okay, use this my CV that I've sent to you, or use it to write me a very good statement of purpose, it would be bland because it's almost like you're not writing from your heart. It's almost like you're not writing from like your experience. So as much as you can, write from your heart. Why do you really want to study there? And for most of this scholarship, they will not tell you just write me a statement of purpose. They are likely to tell you what they want you to include in that statement of purpose. So look for like those instructions. So one thing that I did with my own statement of purpose when we are looking into like how like me applying to a school abroad, they wrote out what they wanted me to have. So those requirements, I saw them as a question. So under each of them, I was writing what my answer would be. Like, so if somebody is asking me things like, what is my biggest motivation? My answer was there. They probably asked me something else, like, give me an example of when you've probably done something, something. My answer was there. So I wrote down all those things and then I came together and saw how to like synthesize both of them, like all my answers of all these requirements in a way that it makes sense of like a purpose for why I need this scholarship. And one thing that I want us to stay away from, which is the card we enjoy to use more, is this whole thing of my parents have been poor, I can't afford this, I never really got the opportunity to do that. So many people are using that same storyline. So what makes yours different? So many people are using the same sad story, pity card. Like, what else can you tell? And in things like this, I probably will be expecting to hear you say things like you have like research interest. You're probably like curious to learn. You probably are like eager to want to help people. Let's say, God forbid, you probably lost like a partner or you probably lost like a family member to cancer. That could be your reason to want to get a scholarship to go study oncology or something like that. Like there should be a motivation apart from the whole sad story of my parents cannot afford. Like tell us something else that like really motivates you into doing something like that. Because remember, as much as international students are looking for this scholarship, those who currently live in that country also are looking for this scholarship as well. They want to apply as well. So why would they pity a sad story from an international setting when they have people in their own country that they can give this to help them? Then we have letters of recommendation. These are like letters that you collect from maybe like your colleague, not your colleague, your supervisor at work, your professors in the past, or let's even say like a senior colleague that you've worked with. You collect a recommendation letter from them for them to like tell this scholarship organization how well they think you can do. They talk about like your skills. They talk about how good you are at your job. They talk about different things about you. That just basically says that okay, this person is like a very good person, that someone I can vouch for. And even currently, I think I have written a bunch of recommendation letter for my students. I basically cannot write like recommendation letters for like someone else or like my colleague or things like that. But students that I have taught in my class, I write for them. And one thing that I put out there is like, if I don't really know you as a person or as a student, I can't really tell you what to like write. I can't really like I can't really know what to write about you. So most of my students that ask me are students that I've like done so well in my class, or those that I probably knew them just from like a distance or whatsoever. But to some extent, I can like recommend them and vouch for the goodness of who they are as people. And then we also look into like the proof of financial need. This ties back into like the statement of purpose. And this ties back to like a question somebody asked where they mentioned like how do they know who basically needs it and those who do not need it. This is where your proof comes in. This is where your proof comes in. And when I talk about like proof, you're probably maybe you're probably putting into things like, see it like you're putting in evidence of some things. I could probably be like, maybe you probably paid like an application fee and you can't afford to pay for like something else, but not putting it around the fame of like you are poor or something like this. At most, the best you can do with this proof of financial need is to mention the fact that okay, you are the first BSc person in your family. Because I know here in the US, if you're like the first college person in your family, they give you like some reduction in school fees and things like that. Because it's like nobody in your family thought to like do a BSc or things like that because of some systematic issues or financial issues. But you as a person decided to go further. So this could be like a proof that you can put together just to show them that like it has been maybe like in the family where people don't want to go forward, but you've gone forward and things like that. Like you said it in a way that you are not trying to play the pity card, but at the same time you're trying to play the pity card one way or the other. And with that, we also have like research proposal. They definitely will ask you for your research proposal. So like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And people that I've worked with in the past around things like this, when I ask them what do they want to do, you just go to Google and Google things for me and bring it and say, this is what I want to do. I'm like, you're not ready. Like, you are not ready. What exactly are you passionate about? What is that thing that you think that if you start working on right now, you will not get tired of working on them? Like, what exactly is that research work? And the way you write about it, somebody will tell that this person really cares so much about this research. So, to give an example, for my proposal into Georgia State University, in my SOP, one of my major things for doing a PhD was like tied to my identity as an African. You probably will realize that if you go on Twitter right now, or you probably interact with somebody, some individuals currently think Africa as a whole is a country. Some individuals probably still see Africa as this space that we are still very much not growing. They probably still see us as like where we used to be during colonization compared to where we've tried to be right now. So I realized that like in taking classes, the way the West talks about the African countries, they talk about it like we're not trying to progress. They talk about it in a way that they forget like the role that they play in our own situation. So in my own SOP, I use that to like emphasize that okay, I'm doing a PhD because I want to begin to change the whole ideology of like Africa is this, Africa is that, basically how it really affected me when I came to the US. And the great thing with that was my research proposal that I did for this application was something around like how I think the misrepresentation of Africa affect Africans in the US. So that was the research proposal that I said I wanted to do. But the big question is that what I am currently doing? Maybe not. Maybe not. It's probably like my secondary research focus because my primary research focus has changed, but it's still focused more on like Africans. But I'm no longer looking into like how we are being represented. I'm looking into like how we can design for Africans to fit the need of Africans in things like that. So, but if there's still like a purpose that I wanted to do, like in the way you would write your research proposal, like there's a connection between that and your statement of purpose one way or the other. So a research proposal could be something as simple as 12 to 15 pages. You could probably use something that you did during your undergrad. And your undergrad could be something like maybe what did you do for your research in your undergrad, in your 400 level? What did you do? So that research work at the end, was there any findings that you realized? Maybe you were looking to do this and then you realized that, oh, people like this was something you did. So is that something you think you want to work more on? If it is, expand it. Then if not, just submit like what you did for your 400 level project work. You could submit that, but just synthesize it as well, just to show like some intent of you wanting to pursue a research endeavor. And then extracurricular and leadership activities. We have people, we have people who actually like will say, "Oh, I will not do things for free. I probably will not. If you are not paying me, I will not do this." Blah 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 blah. In the US, all those things are like they play a big role. Like you see so many people volunteering to just be in positions, just volunteering to help people because you don't know where that thing will come in future to better help you as a person. Currently, I'm probably like the VP of Nigerian Students Association in GSU. I'm not being paid to do that, but I enjoy doing it. That's like a leadership activity, it's like an extracurricular activity that I've done in the past. During NYSC, were you probably in charge of the hostels? Like something that little are things that test like your leadership skills one way or the other. At work, were you like an executive? Like something that little. Were you like a volunteer that puts friends together to help give back to society? Like all these little things, they are okay. And you could go into like maybe you used to play football, you used to play hockey. It just shows that like apart from school, apart from academics, apart from work, what other life do you have? Those like it just needs to show that like you have a balance of the two. There has to be a balance between the two. You can't just be one person that does school, 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 school. They're probably like this person is lying. Like, what else do you do? Tell us. So, an advice with that is whatever extracurricular activities you want to do, which it might sound bad to say be strategic. Every extracurricular activity that I do, all my leadership skills, they're very tragic, like they're very strategic. Before I bite myself, they're very, they're very strategic in sense that like I pick things that helps me become like a better person,
Yeah.
me like sharpen my skills. That helps me connect more to like the society that I probably want to make research on. So persons might see it as taking advantage, but to some extent, it's like you want to be better. If those resources are not there for you to be better, you can be better through all these leadership skills and extracurricular activities as well. And there are also some activities that I've done in the past that like I probably just did them because I want to. And I know there's currently like a app in the US called C, something like that. I don't know if that's the name, but what the app does is like it helps blind people. So blind individuals are required at like they're encouraged to have those apps on their phone. So they probably need help with something as simple as switching on the lights, or probably something as simple as anything. All they just need to do is talk into the app, then the app will like call somebody else who is connected to the app, and all you just do is help them. I've had people where I probably had to like help them read off something on their screen. I've had people that all I just need to do was just to like direct them towards the switch of where their light was and things like that. Those are like volunteering opportunities that I did, but it doesn't mean that like it was connected to the whole idea of me wanting to study Africans. I want to study Africans, not like that is what I want to do. But it just shows that like apart from me doing things that would help my career path and all of those, I'm also willing to help people one way or the other. Was there something you wanted to add, Flora?
Oh yes, for me, thank you so much. Like, when we had a call and I told you that, like, you literally had a lot of points to cover. Guys, I want to emphasize this thing because that was something I said I was going to bring up just in case, but for me, brought it up. We take volunteering for granted. If you go abroad and you meet a 15-year-old, that person literally has more experience than a 30-year-old Nigerian.
Right.
Or I don't know about Ghanaians, but I'm Nigerian, so I've dealt with more Nigerians, and I can tell you for sure. And please say this to your younger ones and guide them. If you have volunteer experiences, those volunteer experiences will open doors for you that you cannot imagine. I recently had a meeting with someone in the UK who is currently working with one of the biggest companies in the UK, and she got in via volunteer. She had already volunteered with that company prior to then. When they were recruiting, she volunteered when she was in Nigeria. Now, when that company was recruiting in the UK, the position she actually applied for was bigger than, like, she wasn't like a complete fit for it.
Right.
But because this person had done some voluntary work for this company in Nigeria, free of charge, it was very easy for them to get her in via another position. And then she's currently doing that position that she's a very good fit for. Please, like she said, be very strategic. If you want to apply for PhD or your master scholarship, really, except you are applying for just an academic based scholarship, like a scholarship that looks at just your grades. To be honest, a lot of time, nobody cares about just your grade. Beyond your grade, how impactful are you to your community? It is so important. Community impact. And like she said, be very strategic. Sit down and look through your long term plan. What's your long term plan? Now, what are the organizations can you volunteer with that would actually build your portfolio? Because you meet
Right.
some people and they just say, "Oh, I work with GT Bank," and that's all. But that's not all it takes to get opportunities abroad. Because these scholarships, whether it's a school scholarship or it's a funding by a government or whatever, they are looking for people who have potential to invest in, because it's an investment and everybody needs a return on investment. And if they don't think you are worthy of that based on your track record, they're not going to spend on it. I know of somebody who had a very low grade. I think that person had about a third class. and still this secured scholarship, full funding. You know what happened to that person? The person had a very rich CV. Like the person's CV was so rich that people with high grades could not even compete. So you could tell that, oh, maybe this person had some academic issues. But when you look through this person's experiences and the rest of them, you would know that this person, like, it's so hard to ignore this person. And if you give this person a chance, you'd see that they will do better this time around. So please, guys, be very intentional. Even for job opportunities too, your volunteer opportunity can actually get you in the door. So that's like something I wanted to mention, that volunteer is very, like, very essential. So please.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you
And then
so much.
an addition with this is your resume. So there's resume, there's CV. But I think for this one, you basically need your CV actually. Because the resume is the one that we use for like our jobs that we want to apply to, where you only like tailor it to specific jobs. But for scholarship, include your CV. And this is where you basically have everything related to like your leadership skills, the jobs you've done in the past, what volunteering experience have you given, what conferences have you gone to, like talk about yourself. If it goes 15 pages, let it go. But you sure did all this work. You acquired all those skills, like sell yourself in that situation. So for sure, you need that. And will I say there's like a certain format into it? Maybe not. But think about you as an individual. What is a CV that you would see and you would just be overwhelmed immediately? There's some CVs that you probably would open. When I was working in Nigeria and we're trying to like get people for like some certain positions, and I just opened the CV, I am so overwhelmed because it's like, why is it so colorful? Why are there so many boxes? Why are there so many tables? What is going on? Because me looking at your CV, what I'm basically interested in doing right there is what are the skills you had? I'm looking into which school did you go to? I'm looking into what jobs have you done in the past? Like those are the three things I'm looking at doing. Does it fit into the role we are looking for? Then I am taking into it and all of those. However, in Nigeria, I did that manually as a person. But currently it is like technology that is doing all of these things for us. So with AI and things like that, if your resume doesn't look good, you're making it too colorful. Like first off, you're not applying for a scholarship to be a graphics designer on any of those. So it could be basic as it needs to be, but at least use just something with common sense. It's just the right word. I probably should not use the word common sense, but just apply that when you're trying to like put your CV together and all of those. Because if it doesn't make sense, AI will dump it out. AI will
Yeah.
dump it out immediately. And then you're thinking, boy, I qualify, I'm supposed to be there and things like that. But your resume just did not make sense to the AI. It's why it's like AI is dumping it out and things like that. So, how do we write a winning statement of purpose? That's always been like a very big question that people often have. And this might seem like what you do, you probably just want to, yeah, okay, this is a format, go and edit it and things like that. But because I have mentioned it earlier, that writes from your heart. The first thing you have to do, if these people are asking you for a statement of purpose for a scholarship, some go further into breaking it down, into telling you what you should include in those statement of purpose. Write down what they've asked you to do. Once you write that out first, write out your answers to each of those things first. Once you now do that, I now want you to come back and now clearly define your academic and career goals. Like, do not even let all of these goals first influence how you write the other like questions or the other requirements under the winning statement of purpose. Do you understand? Like, you want to go further into like talking about, like, after which you've answered those questions, now you now begin to think. So, how does all of these questions help you define like your academic and career goals? There's a likely chance that you will find your answer from there, where you don't have to go copy the most random thing on Google. And all of these things they use like plagiarism check, where if you are saying something and 2 million other people are saying the same thing, it's like, okay, something is going on, and they cross you off immediately. And then you also have to like showcase, like explain why you chose this particular scholarship and university, any one of those. Like, why exactly are you picking this scholarship? Are you picking the scholarship because your friend told you about it? Are you picking this scholarship because it speaks more to you? Are you picking this scholarship because it puts you where you want to be? For Fulbright, oh my God, whoever gets a Fulbright scholarship, if you can use it well, you are made. Because apart from Fulbright paying your tuition, like they do so many other things for you. Apart from paying your tuition, Fulbright does so many other things for you. You probably have I have a friend from Pakistan which Fulbright paid for a master's degree, and currently she's just enjoying the world. Well, when I mean enjoying the world by traveling, is the sense that she's not just traveling for sightseeing, she's traveling to like meet dignitaries. When they're talking about like how to make some things better in Pakistan, she's being invited to like the embassy in Pakistan, invited to like the embassy right here in the US because it's like she was part of Fulbright. I know kind of people that they often invite for things like that. Even in Nigeria, when the US embassy does the Independence Day event at the embassy, you see kind of dignitaries that they bring there. So it's like the scholarship open doors for you to meet people. So then can you use it well? But you probably will not want to write it there to say, oh, because I want to meet people. There's a way you will romanticize it to say that, okay, well, I'm picking this scholarship because it helps me like put my foot in the right steps. It contributes to my career path. It speaks to me. It this, it does that. Like you need to mention those kind of things that really says why this scholarship? Why exactly are you picking it? However, for some scholarship, they probably will not ask you to write any SOP. What they'll probably tell you to do is submit your CV, submit your transcript, and that's it. While for some others, they will tell you to write and write and write and write. While for some others, they don't want you to write. Just give us the CV, your resume, and all of this. So it's not less for you to kill and sell yourself in that CV in a way that they are like, this person, they're contemplating on if they should do or not. And then you also have to like showcase your leadership skills and community impact. And that's why we talked about the importance of like volunteering. If it's in like in your local community, even in Nigeria, we probably have issues with maybe like something as simple as road, something as simple as electricity, which is not that simple, but like you can be a part of that. Does your environment have like youth leaderships and things like that? Like, because I think the ideology people have when it comes to like the youth in the environment, people think of like them as like touts. Don't think of them as thugs. Think of them as people are disturbing. Like you're probably too big for things like that. Join them. If you have issues with what they are doing, be a part of their circle, and begin to change that issues that you have. That is how you make community impact. And those are things that you talk about when you write your SOP. Your leadership skills, those are things you talk about when we get to do things like that. I think for my leadership skills, when I probably applied to Clemson the first time, one of the things that I mentioned was my internship. Because the school I went to then, you need to like you need to go for internship before you graduate, especially if you're in mass comm. So I talked
Yeah.
about like how I did my internship as like a very young age. I did it as like a very young age, and how like I had a supervisor who really trusted me in defining like roles, putting rosters together and things like that. Like that was a leadership role that I did enjoy, and I talked more about it. Specifically, how it would help me become like a good student in the program. I tied them into each other. And I went further into how I graduated at like a very young age. And while I graduated at that time, what are the things that I did? I mentioned them. And in fact, NYSC gave me an opportunity to like be a part of a community. So as much as you probably are saying, oh, government is not paying me enough for all of these things, now you know what thing you want to do for future. Now you know what thing you want to do as time goes on and things like that. So the best thing that you can do in that point during NYC is there's so many volunteering opportunities available. During CDS, they're probably coming to talk to you about it. Listen to it, be a part of it. If it speaks to you, join. If it doesn't speak to you, still join. There's a way we'll still find a way to tie it back into each other. Then also like I liked your achievements, the challenges, and your growth. As much as you want to sell yourself as being excellent, like they would also ask you question on what are some times in your life when you felt like you were going through challenges and how did you work around it. And one of the great things that I as a person realized was as much as I talk about, oh, I love working with people, I love working with teams and things like that, I realized that I did not really. Because during undergrad, we have people that they will put together in groups and they just will not contribute to the work. So I'm like, you know what, I'll do the work and that's okay. So I grew up thinking that was like a normal thing you should keep doing. And then I'll see myself like in some group works and I'm like, you know what? All of you are not sounding like people know what you're talking about. Let me just do this project. I will submit it on our behalf and say we all did it together. And that was like a challenge that I had with myself and a weakness that I got to realize eventually that was something that I helped myself walk through. So it's fine to be vulnerable. So instead of now saying that vulnerability or that thing as a challenge, see it as like a weakness that you are trying to work on. Don't say it as like a weakness that is pulling you back 100%. Make it look like something that you are aware of and you're working on it. And they do this from someone that I heard from to try to see how much you take account of things. How accountable are you with things? How self-aware are you about things? They want to see that you have a balance again between being rigid and being like, they want to see that it's fine to make mistakes. And how do you learn from those mistakes? One of the things that they really want to see, which is why it also includes growth. And then after you're done, proofread for clarity and coherence. If you have access to an app like Grammarly, put it on Grammarly. Let Grammarly read it for you. If it does not make sense, Grammarly will tell you. If you currently have access to ChatGPT, put this SOP into ChatGPT and ask it for where you've probably made errors or where it probably looks like something is not making sense or something like that. Have it do those things for you. But the thing is, don't just ask ChatGPT to write the thing for you. Write it yourself. They cannot put ChatGPT to say, okay, we'll rewrite this thing for clarity. Or probably put ChatGPT there to say that, okay, rewrite this in a way that makes sense. But sometimes all of these AI tools might rewrite the whole thing entirely. That does not even communicate what you were trying to communicate. So the best thing that you can do is use these tools, but still try to ensure that it is communicating what you want. Once you take it back from ChatGPT or from Grammarly, now begin to break down all these things to say that it is still saying what you wanted to say. And you could also have people you can reach out to read it for you to also ensure that you are clear. So I had, I don't know why I have so many examples. So I had someone who had this issue with SOP as a last year. And this person sent me their SOP to read. I just didn't understand it. I didn't know what they were talking about. There were just too many grammars, too many computer science related terms that just did not make sense to me. And I'm like, okay, this thing does not communicate anything to me. In an admission committee, not everyone there is profound in your own. I don't know if profound is the right word, but not everyone is good in the field that you said that you are good in. So it's write in a way that everybody can understand it. Even a stupid person should be able to read it and realize that, okay, this is the career path this person is going. This is the research path this person is going. This is why they want the scholarship. This is how it will be important to this person. Write in a very clear way. If you don't have to use purchase, use buy. Don't use grammar. Nobody wants to see that. Use very simple English that can be read by people. Don't complicate yourself. Don't overtalk. Don't overdo. Don't overshow grammar. I don't know whoever told us that writing plenty grammar is a way of showing that you're intelligent. No. Just looks like someone that's trying to hide under the grammar. So as much as you can, write in a very simple way for people to read. That if you're writing for someone going into geology, let me in communication be able to understand what your goal, what your career path, what your vision for being in geology would be about. So to help summarize this page, the first thing you do with an SOP, if the page have you, every page will put it there, what the requirements they want you to write in that SOP. Answer all of those questions first. Now come back to this point of defining your career goals and academic goals. You realize that from the answers you've written, you'll be able to answer that part. Then you're not going into how does this scholarship really helps you. Now begin to think deeper. Why do you really need the scholarship per se? Why? Think deeper. You don't have to write an SOP in one sitting. It could take you months. It could take you days. It's okay for you to take forever, but also put the deadline in mind while you're taking days and months to put it. But don't just see it as something that you will sit down right now and write it. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So take your time with it. Is there anything you want to add, Flora?
Are you done with SOP parts? So I could just add, if the next one is not okay, so the next one is not SOP. So let me just quickly point some things, right? I've had to write work on over 500 SOPs within 6 years, way more than, so bad that I don't even like to see SOPs now. And one of the very key strategy is storytelling.
Exactly.
You need to, don't write in a very straight generic points. Why you want this scholarship? I want this scholarship because this scholarship is good. I want to do, no, take people into your journey.
Right.
Let whoever is reading, let them see your journey. Storytelling is a very powerful skill, and it is what distinguishes most writers. So if you want to write, for instance, now you ask me a question of more like why I want to apply for a certain program. If that program is tilted towards education, for instance, and I could always say tie things to your passion. And even before I get to passion, for every scholarship you want to apply to, it doesn't revolve around just your passion. I think for the scholarships that I applied for before that I didn't get into, one of the things that I came to realize when I sat down to evaluate is that sometimes your area of interest is not their priority area. A
Mhm.
scholarship is a priority area for countries like the Shivning Scholarship, for instance. Now, Shivning Scholarship has priority areas for every country. I earlier did not know about that. And at the time I applied for, education was not even priority for Nigeria. Security, agriculture, and some others were it. So when you want to apply for a scholarship, take your time to look at their priority areas. If it's not clearly written there, do a research, priority areas for this scholarship, or look through like some of the things they might list that as the things that are finding. Now, tailor your interest to their priority area. If a scholarship has security as priority area, priority focus, and you are writing about solar, except you want to find a way to tie how solar would actually enhance
Security.
security.
Mhm.
If you go and be writing left, and say this, if education, for instance, if I love education, I'm always passionate about education. And for almost all the scholarship I've written, it's so hard to write something else that's not education for me, because that's like it's for me. And I would always tie it to children, really children. So if a scholarship is focusing on a different area, that's like one strategy I came to know. Instead of just writing that out of number of school children in education, that these children deserve the education, they deserve to learn. If that scholarship focus is on security, and I am passionate about education, I might come from the angle of insecurity in Nigeria can be traced to a lack of education. That some of these people are being manipulated because they are not well informed. Then I cannot tie it down to tell you the power of education in transforming the mind, enlightening the society, and in making people have better choices. Then you can see that I cannot tie my education passion to align with security. I will now show you how education can actually tackle insecurity in the society by helping more people, disorient people who are. Do you understand? You can even I can even tell you how educational programs can be scheduled, or how educational programs can be designed for people who have been involved in criminal acts to enlighten them. I can even tell you how education programs can be designed for people in prison, just like how Norway did. Norway did something. They had it. If you go to prison in Norway, you will read book. So they realized that it worked, and they didn't have lots of people in the prison anymore. So I can say, instead of me coming from my blinded point, like I'm telling you from my mistake now, this is like a tip to help you that when you want to write, you always need to think, first of all, what are they looking for? It's not about you. It's not about your interest. It's not about your passion. It's not your money. It's not your father's money. It's their money. So you need to interest them. Now, when you sit down and you do a thorough research, because before you get down into writing SOP, you need to do a thorough research about their needs. And then you can now look at it and see your expertise, your experience, your interest. How can you tie it to fit their requirements? And then that's when you can now start clearly defining your goals and seeing areas where you can readjust, stories where you can redesign to fit in. But like I'd always say, storytelling is a powerful. Some storytelling can even be in your environment. Look around you, look at your environment. Like she said, they are used to very generic stories. I think it was Australian at some point where then they told us, they said Australian embassy, they're tired. They know that every time we are saying that Nigeria has bad education, we're always going on strike. They're tired of hearing it, that we're always going on strike. So do we have examples to give? So look at that. There are very relatable instances around us, because you need to be very relatable. Don't talk like on the surface way, or talk like you're out of the world. Relatable experiences, but take them through a journey. Give instances. If, for instance, now the personal statement, or they're asking you for shifting, for instance, they have different sections. There's a part where they ask you about your leadership skills. Give instance. Your leadership skills could even be your job. It could be your leadership skills could even be your family. You could tell how you had to take up leadership from an early age. In your family, there are some people who their leadership skills were built in their family. And like I would always break down, I think that's like one thing I did in my book, the different phases to write. And the first phase would be your planning phase. Now, the planning phase is when you actually do all of this research to determine what they want. And that's like when you now start doing your rough thinking. Sometimes when I want to apply for these things, it's like when you're sleeping in the midnight, that's like when an idea pops in and you're quickly, I don't know if you experienced that for me. It's like when you're not even expecting, there's just an idea that pops in and you're writing it down. That's
Right.
your first phase will be like, it will be very messy.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're confused, sometimes you know what you're doing. Write them all down. And then next phase you now get to is the writing phase because you've had like a draft and you would have multiple drafts. It's okay. It's okay to write something. It's okay to like open a blank sheet and be very clueless for a while. It's okay to just sometimes you just write out all your skills, list them, ask your friends because there's some skills or some strengths you might have that you might not even know would be important. Ask your friends, what strengths do you think I have? And then you now start thinking. And then when you get to writing phase, you know that there's like your introduction, there's the body, there's the conclusion, and then you go to the parts where you now like do the whole proofreading, editing, get people who are scholars. I have applied for a scholarship where I had about 7 people. I think out of those 7 people, 5 of them were PhD people. But I eventually did not get that scholarship. So anything can happen. You can do all your best and you don't get it. But you don't stop until you get. I think it was the next one that I got. You don't stop. So please, guys, like if you pay attention to these key things, they are very important. And like she said, follow instructions. If they tell you 500 words, don't try and do 501 because they'll always check those things. I'd rather have you write 450, 458 than 501 when they say 500 words. Some organizations might have an AI that actually bounces down every essay that goes above the word limit. So what it
Right.
means is that if you try to prove that you know too much, and that a scholarship says 500 words and you submit 501, 510 because you think you know too much, the AI automatically sieves out yours. So irrespective of what you've done excellently, if you do not pay attention to this, your personal statement would actually not be looked at. So please look at the keywords, even for universities. I mean, if you're writing a scholarship for university, for instance, reach out to them. They always have support team. Send them a message and ask, "Oh, I want to go back. Can I clarify? Or are there expectations for this?" Send them a message because part of the scholarship thing we talked about, right? When she talked about the different types of scholarship, one scholarship opportunity that people do not even know of, they are departmental scholarships. There are some departments that have scholarships, and until you reach out to them, you might not know. Now, sometimes this happened with someone that I know because I walked him through the process. I usually get requests for people to say, "Oh, help me, guide me to write personal statement, like scholarship." I We don't even have the time to take you through, like, "Oh, come on, let me apply for scholarship for you." So what I do is that I provide guide to people sometimes. And when I walk them through the process and I say, "Oh, this school is not showing funding right now, but how about you reach out to the department, send them your portfolio, like write a very good letter, send them your portfolio." And that's how he got fully funded scholarship. And he graduated from the USA this year. So sometimes you need to take the extra step to send a message to that department saying, "Oh, like this is blah, blah, blah." And then you want to know if there's an available funding in that department. When you do that, I'm sure that they will give you necessary information that you need. That's like it for me. Thank you.
All right. So I also wanted to mention that if you're into buying and selling, like those of us who probably sells things on WhatsApp, those of us who do things, those are skills that you should talk about. Those are skills that you can talk about in your SOP. However, how you talk about it is the most important part of things. There are ways that people write about what they do that like they write it like it's a big thing. Do that because it really is a big thing to be able to like be able to put one business together and things like that. That really shows them like how you can take initiatives. It really
Mm.
shows how like you can be on your own without having them like coming back to you once, like checking up on you every day to make sure that you can do something. It shows that like you have a sense of responsibility because yes, you do have a business one way or the other.
Mm. Thank you. For me, just a quick question. There's someone posting, she's saying, "What's the difference between statement of purpose and personal statements?" So,
Okay.
statement of purpose, personal statements, letter of intent, they're all the same thing. For Australia, it's called statement of purpose, which is SOP. For the UK, It's called personal statements. Like literally, they're all just the same thing. Some schools in the USA they will say personal statement. Some will say statement of purpose. But then there is a clause. There are some schools you might apply to in the US that would ask you to write statement of purpose, and they will also ask you to write personal statements. You see
Right.
it together. There's a clause, and you see clearly. Sometimes the statement of purpose would be why, like writing a statement explaining why you want to study that program.
Mhm.
Sometimes your personal statement would be you giving your personal situation. So you would always see like the difference if they are mixed together. They'll give you like a short note telling you what they are looking out for in that point. But if you see one, it just literally means the same thing. Why do you want to study in this school? Why do you want to study this course? How this course will benefit you? What's your career goal? Like literally just writing together to convince them why you should study this program. Yeah, for me, you wanted to say something, please.
Yeah, so to also add to that, for the SOP is more of like a formal writing, except it depends on whatever the school as like or the scholarship application has asked you to put on it. But it's more of talking about like your own career goals, your career path, and how like would the school be able to like help you to achieve that. However, the personal statement, if they ask you to write both though, but the personal statement of its own goes more into like your own personal, it's like writing a recommendation letter for yourself. But in this way, you're attesting to like your individuality, how great you are as a person. This is where you go into like, oh, you used to have a business. You really helped like the society by doing things like this. You probably did this, you probably did that. In this situation, like Flora said, storytelling, you are showing me. Like there are actually ways where you write that people begin to imagine what that experience instead of just telling me. Walk me through a journey by showing me this side of you, this personality of you that makes me think that okay, you'll be a very good person coming into it. And to give you an expo, one of the great things that every school wants to see is the fact that you're very respectful of cultures. Are
Mm.
you very respectful of cultures? Do you think you also have that cultural diversity that you're trying to bring in? Those are like things you have to do. And I think when I wrote my SOP, I wrote my SOP in a way that they're helping me and I'm also helping them at the same way. Because it's like I wrote that like you're helping me by like educating me, giving me the skills that I need to help my host community, like back home in Nigeria. But at the same time, I'm bringing into like my diversity in a way that I am coming to like teach others about who I am as a person and things like that. It's like a win-win situation in a way, but you make it look like you are coming in as a very good addition to the school and not just like the normal thing that I've always had. All right, so securing strong letters of recommendation. This is like the very tough part of things. Oh my God. You can track people down for days, months, years. They're taking forever. For my admission to Clemson, I had my school as a whole, Wesley University, writing me a recommendation letter. That was like the registrar. And it was easy for me to do that because to some extent, I held like a position during my final year for like the student board. I was like the PRO. So I was able to like develop like a relationship with the registrar. That was why it was easy for me to like be able to approach her. Even with the way I still had the relationship, it probably took like 3 months or 4 months for that letter to come. And then I also had my professors that I reached out to. Then I also had my boss at my work then who helped me write like a recommendation letter. So this thing will take like a while. Some people even tell you go and write a draft and send to me. Just see like you just want to beg them. See like you want to beg them. Some people will tell you that what should I write there? So what you would do with recommendation letters is what do you want them to write? Do you want them to attest to how good you are as a person, or do you want them to attest to like how good you are as a worker or as a student? You can write down those bullet points for them and have them write it for you. And I know some schools will tell you to send them what grade you had in their class, and then tell them whatever project you worked on. Then they will talk more on like how that project is like a very good work. So you could ask like your professors, employers, or mentors who knows you very well. However, some scholarship will tell you that they don't want to hear squarely from those who knows you in your inner circle. They also want to know from someone that you probably knew, but you probably didn't have like so much relationship with, but they can attest to like how much you are, like how good you are, or something like that. So you could also like do this by like sharing your resume and achievement and scholarship details with them. So now you've asked them, how would they remember that it's you? Especially in like a federal school where they have so many persons. That's like a big thing. How would they remember that it's you? So you have to go further into like sharing maybe like your resume to let them know this is where you've gotten to right now. And then you can go further into telling them what your achievements have been so far, like how you did in their class and things like that, so they can like remember who you are, which some might not even remember you. But based on what you send to them, they can develop how important your work would be in the US or in the UK or in any North American space. And then you should also provide them with like sufficient time to write. Please don't send someone recommendation letter this week. And then by Friday, you're already messaging them that, how far now? Have you not written them? This will take like a very long time. Even my my manager at work then, who I was seeing every day, it probably took this man like a month to send me my SOP, like to send the recommendation letter to the school. Because or to the school, because from scholarship and some schools, once your recommender have submitted, they will let you know that this person has submitted. It took them a while. The only space that I knew that it was very fast was when I moved into the US. So when I moved into the US and I was going from Clemson to GSU, my recommenders are like my professors from Clemson. So I told them that, oh, the application for this school is ending December 3rd. And I'm not kidding when I say all of them had that recommendation letter ready that December 3rd. Because it worked with these people. And I'm not trying to like say that like we Nigerians take forever with things and there's some certain individuals do not take forever with things. But it just shows that like some persons understand the importance of this SOP more than the other. So just give them time. If something is due in December, start sending your recommenders. So like start applying for this school as early as August and be reminding your recommenders every week that Sao Mao, you've not done this thing and things like that till they submit it. Just make sure that like they don't submit it after. And although I know that some scholarship can allow you submit your recommendation letter after it has been submitted, that's okay. But the whole idea is give them time. And while you're giving them time, if they probably tell you, provide me with points of what to write, do that, but also include like your resume and achievement and things like that. But that doesn't mean that you should like influence what they write about you. Let them write what they really know about you in a very honest way. And then, like I already mentioned, follow up in a very, very polite way. Follow up politely. Don't message someone, not be replying them with question mark. Are they not done? Or something like that. It's you that wants to collect something from them. So be nice in asking about things like this. And then managing application timeline.
For me, sorry, can I just quickly say something regarding references?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, please. First thing is that I would like to always point is build relationship. So you don't have to call people when you need them only.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can start now if it's not too late if you haven't, because some scholarships will always need references from where you studied. I mean, I still have very good relationship with my university lecturer, undergraduate lecturer, and this is like about almost 10 years. I can easily call him if I need a reference now. So please build that relationship. People you study with, your lecturers, even if not everybody, especially your supervisor, build that relationship, even build professional, good relationship with people. So if you're in school and you're watching this video, don't just like have your lecturers and you just have them come and you just want to go through school, because you will always need these people, and people don't want to feel like they're being used,
Right.
or
Yeah.
people don't want to think of you as a user. Because the truth is that someone who actually knows you or is actually rooting for you, who puts in a very strong reference for you, than someone who just feels like they're doing you a favor.
Right.
Some of them would ask you for money because some references are very detailed. They would need them to like write something so detailed. And some people do not have the patience to put in that effort for someone that they feel like does not even have their time. So please build good relationship. If you've not spoken with some of your lecturers in a long while, because some of them you might need them, just call them. Ah, sir, how you doing? I just thought to check on you. It's been a long time, you know. So please build relationship. Thank you for me.
Yes, it's very important because I could not have got to like a recommendation letter from the registrar if I did not have that relationship one way or the other. That relationship had to be there, and they also could attest to who I am as a person.
And have a good reputation. It's so important. Let people know you as someone that has a good reputation, not someone that you once they have this feeling that you are so pompous, you are feeling big, you don't regard them. People are not interested. People that you work with, your boss, your colleagues, sometimes your colleague could be your referee. But just have good relationship with people. Nobody's saying be best friends with them or be in their business every day. Be that person people can say, oh, this person, I know this person, and say good, put in good words for you.
Yes, actually, talking more on that, when I was in Wesley, so one of our professors moved to like the US and now currently teaches in the US and things like that. So being in the US, the bestest man was, yeah, like we're keeping that relationship going. And then one of my classmates that I've never spoken to in like a while reached out and was like, well, she wants to like write recommendation letter, but needed this man's help to write it. So, and this is someone that she has not spoken to in like 6 years. Not like reached out to him at all. She was like, last time she reached out to him was probably to just say happy birthday, and that was like 6 years ago. They've not spoken again since then. So she reached out to this man and was introducing herself. The man was like, he knew she was the one, but he acted like he didn't know who she was. And then when she introduced herself, did everything, the man was like, I'm sorry, I don't think I remember you. I can't help you. And then I'm like, but this man knows her. He knows her. But it's like she only reached out when she needed the help. So that played like a very big thing for her, that because the last situation, she could not apply. That it took me like trying to talk to him, trying to make him understand the situation, that it's not like she wants to use you, before the man came to the terms and said, okay, I would write it for her. And then it took his time to write
And
it.
that's because of you, who has a good relationship with him. Nobody wants to feel like a user. Don't be that person who, like, see, to be honest, right now I'm holding somebody's recommendation. I'm going to write it out my face. I'm so sorry to say, although I've promised to do it tomorrow because it's been a very busy period for me. But despite my busy schedule, if it was someone that was always like in touch, or like I could tell, I'm so tired. I could have just like taken the extra effort. I would do it, but I'm like, given that instance, people don't want to feel like a user. You don't come out from nowhere and all of a sudden you not say, and especially please don't do that thing. Somebody did that thing to me. I didn't like it. And I think that's like why I delayed this person. Don't use people for references without their consent.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
Did it to me. I think that's why I delayed. There's another person that did it also. And I'm like, even if they've referenced you before, if you want to use them again, if I want to use anybody for reference, if I've spoken with you and you agree, I'll always speak to you. I'll say, please don't put in this application. No, I'm going to still use you. Or you come to a mutual agreement and say, please, I'll be putting in applications that are going to be quite a number. Can I use you as my referee? It's now an understanding relationship, right? They now know that you want to use them continuously. You can go ahead. But not when you tell somebody that, please, I want to apply for something, let me use you. Then I say, okay, no problem. Then you go on to use them again without their consent. Then when they've sent them an email, that's why you now call them. So they sent you an email. That's so rude. You are bumping into people's schedule. Contact these people ahead of time. Have an agreement with them. If you've used them as referees before and you want to use them again, before going on to submit that application, call them, send a message. Please, sir. See, your referee can actually ruin your application. No, that's what people don't know. You might have good grades. You might have every other thing.
Yes.
Friends can ruin your application. If they go on and write a very lackadaisical reference for you, like, oh, he's a good person, I know him, blah, blah, blah. You might know who, I think it was on IG, I don't know what, but I know that it was like a community that the person was talking about how the reference that was put in for that person was like the strong reason why that person was picked. It was one of the strongest reasons because the person took time to write a very detailed reference talking about their working relationship with this person, the impact this person made. So it was beyond the very generic references that they usually get. So please build a relationship with people and seek their consent. If they give you shop, like Nigerian would say, my grandmother would always say that if they give you tom for shop, don't go ahead and ask for the whole shop. Don't be so forward. If they give you something, appreciate it. Ask if you want to use them continuously. Make that arrangement. If you want to use them again, don't go ahead and seek reference and then you come and tell them that and they sent me. No, ask them, please, can I use you again? Be very clear. Don't be entitled to anything. Thank you. For me, you can.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your input.
Yeah. Thank you.
So going into application timeline, and I'm using this stone to cue both applying for scholarship and applying for like a school. Like, know the deadline. And some of us are likely to find a scholarship that is due next week. Just let it go. If it is due next week, just let it go, especially if the requirement is a lot. If it is probably due next month, let it go. Let it go. It will take a very long time. Especially with recommenders, it will take forever. Just let it go so that you don't waste your time and effort into something and then you have your heart like butchered and things like that. Just let it go. Like if something is due in December, start preparing. Start preparing. For my PhD, application was due December 3rd. I started applying as early as like I think August, September. That's when I was applying, and I submitted my application in November before the due date. Was when I submitted my application. Like, give yourself that space so that when there are like errors that you're making, it's easier for you to go back to fix them or something like that, so that you don't rush through things. Give yourself time, give yourself space. Please don't rush it. I beg you. Walk through it. Like have it in your house, pin it to the wall that okay, the deadline is in March and start working around it months before, specifically because of recommenders. My dear, it will take a very, 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 very long time. It will take a very long time. So please give your time and start preparing way ahead of the timeline. 6 to 12 months might be like a stretch, but because I can't really tell when you will stumble upon the scholarship and something like that. But like give yourself that timeline. Like be reasonable with yourself. Don't expect recommenders to give you like a letter that same month. Give it some time. Give it some time for sure. And also create a calendar with application deadline and required documents. So I'm currently using my computer right now, but if you can see, because this is like my reading table, if you can see what's behind my computer, I have like my schedule, I have like deadline, I have like so many things that I'm working on that I have the timeline of when I want to put those things together. I have the timeline of when I should be done with one thing and the other. Like I have sticky notes everywhere. This is it right here. Once I remember something, write it down and just stick, 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 stick. Like there's so many sticky notes right behind here where I write like deadlines for everything. So for your application as well, if you don't have sticky notes, use your phone calendar to put in those deadlines. Use your notes on your phone to or maybe on WhatsApp. Like send yourself message of all of these requirements. And once you've gotten one requirement, tick it off. So that gets you like more like accountable. But in any application, start first with the recommenders. Send them those ones so that by the time they are taking forever to write, you are also working on like your research proposal. You're working on your SOP. You're working on all of these things. By the time you're ready to put it together, you realize that recommenders have already submitted what they need to submit, and all you just need to do is to submit and also like begin to wait that it probably comes in one way or the other. Then also set as like side a time for like each stage, test preparation, documents gathering, and writing essays. Like write every day. Write I wish I knew this earlier. This is something that I just learned during my PhD where I write every day. I write every day. And now Apple has this app that they've given us, which I think is a violation of my privacy, but it's like a journal where if you go anywhere and by the time you get home, it tells you, oh, like take some time to reflect in this thing. So see, like apart from reflecting about your day, even if it's one sentence you're writing about that essay, before you know it, in a week you're done. Especially if they tell you to write 500 words, and you 500 words, before you know it, you are done with 500 words so fast. Like for one of my classes, the professor was like, "Oh, all you just need to do is submit like 12 pages article," and I'm like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Are you sure?" 12 pages. I'm like, because 12 pages is something that before it would take me a whole semester to do that, but now 12 pages without it being double spaced is really like 5 pages. I could write that in 2 hours right now. So I'm like, are you sure that is what you want us to submit at the end of the semester? And they were like, yeah, we have master's students in this class, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. But I was able to get to this situation because I had trained myself to write every day. So if you can write 100 words in one situation, write it. If you can write 200 words, write it. If you can write 300 words, write it. Like take time each day, even if it's on the bus that you're going home, instead of texting and checking YouTube, you that are serious about your life on what you want to do, start writing those things. Take time each day to do it. And each day, probably just look at it. Okay, all these documents you're putting together, does it make sense? Or maybe every 2 weeks or every month, you're going back to those documents to see, like, is this still the same thing? And also be checking the website. Are they updating something every time that they're asking you to add, to remove, to join? Like all of those things, take it into consideration one way or the other. All right. And then the other thing we have is create a calendar with application deadline and required documents. I think I already mentioned that already. Yeah, sorry. Then also like prioritize application based on deadlines and chances of success. We already mentioned it like at the beginning where I said that like check out the scholarship. Is it tailored to you? Does it make sense for you? Is this something that speaks to your grade, your capacity, the documents that you currently have? Does it? If it does, please go ahead and apply. And again, stay away from the most popular application, which you can be very lucky to get into, like the very popular ones, and you might not. But still, like, you could apply to those ones, but also pay attention to all those scholarships, all those applications that people do not really know much about. Pay attention to those ones as well. And then there's a likely chance that you might get in. So if a deadline is next month and this is the time now, just let it go. Just let it go entirely. If especially because of recommenders. But if you don't need recommenders and the deadline is next month, it's something you can meet. But if you need recommenders, let it go. Let it go.
For me, can I add something because of the recommenders you talked about? So, funny thing is that some people might be very prepared already, but they might just not have met the opportunity. I applied for my MBA scholarship, I think a night or 2 nights to the deadline. And it was very easy for me to put in because I had been beaten. When you've gone through the experience, when you've applied for Shivni, you've applied for, I think I did 2 applications in Germany. Now, this is someone who was guiding other people, but I was getting like rejection emails. And the one for Ireland that I cried my eyes out. And that night I said I was done. But this time around, because I'd gone through the experiences, I've been shaped to see things differently now. When I applied for my MBA scholarship, I didn't even come from the point of education, education, education. I came from the point of I had built a business. I had this experience right now as an entrepreneur. I'm very passionate about education. So you see that I was tiny. So it was just, I just looked through my previous essays. I read what they wanted, the different questions they asked, and then I just aligned them. But this time around now differently, like I said, that find a way to align your passion with what they're asking for. So if you are like that person, because there's some people who actually have put things together but they've just not met the opportunity, and you are ready and they're not asking you for new references, sometimes you might get reference later handy. There are some applications that don't mind you submitting like already available references. If you have that kind of opportunity, like she said too, except you don't have to wait for references, you can go right ahead and apply. There's no harm in trying. But if it's like the ones that are very like tedious, mine was very tedious, but I'm saying that I already had things available that I had to just take the night. I took the whole night to look through it and re-strategize. I already had like things that were needed, and I think maybe I made available referee. Some would also ask you to make available the referees' details. They will contact them. If you've established relationship with your referees, then you can go ahead. That's if you are prepared. But if you're somebody that's not prepared at all, you did very clueless. You know, like you're not so prepared, you've not written, you don't have something structured, like she advised. You need to take time. Don't rush your head into something that you're not adequately prepared for. Thank you.
Right, right. Thank you so much for that. And then you have to also take the importance of networking and mentorship seriously. So a very important trick is to like connect with alumni on LinkedIn or social media. Connect with them. And when you connect with these people, when you are reaching out to them, don't reach out in a very rude way. Don't reach out in a way that you're entitled to an information they give to you. Don't reach out in a way that you're saying, oh, actually, in mentality most Nigerians have that I have encountered, not to like generalize, but we see it as because this person is Nigerian and they're an alumni of something, they must reply to us immediately. Me as an example, if you reach out to me on LinkedIn, because I have turned off my notification for LinkedIn, I'm likely to only see your message when I log back to LinkedIn. It could take 2 days. It could take 3 days. I didn't get a notification that you messaged me. It doesn't mean that like I'm trying to ignore you or trying to act somehow to you. I just did not see the message. So see it like that. Don't reply, don't message people in a very rude manner with an entitlement mentality that like they are liable or should be able to like respond to you. And when you reach out to them, you're reaching out to them for like tips. It's like some people, and some people are weird. I should not even lie. Some people are weird that you reach out to them and they'll be acting somehow. Some people are like that. It's so very gutter behavior in a way. Because it's like somebody is reaching out to you to only ask for help. Nobody is
And
reaching
they
out to you to
a lot.
exactly. So it's like they're just reaching out to you for help. It's as simple as saying, oh, take these things into consideration. Don't take that into consideration. I can ask one of my friends wanted to apply to like Clemson University. And they were like, they should submit like research proposal or like paper, something. I forgotten what English they used for it, but what this basically means was they were asking for like a research proposal. So I was like, oh, send yours to me. I could help you edit it since now I understand like the way the structure should be and the way research is in the US now. And this person sent me like an article that they wrote about birds and things like that. It was a very beautiful writing. But was it what the school was asking for? No. I had to look for like a very good way to tell them. So after I told them, person was mad at me. That what do I mean is not good? That was what the school said they should submit. And this person went ahead and submitted it. Guess what? They did not enter. They didn't enter. They were not messaging me. I'm like, I told you that when I say articles, they are not asking you for articles that you wrote about birds, even though you wrote beautifully. That's not what they're asking you for. This is a research-based school. This is not like a school that they are training you to go into like a career path. They are training you to pursue a PhD, to go into academia. So it's like you have to submit something that shows that. So as much as you're reaching out to them to ask you to get tips, don't be offended by anything they tell you to do. Just take it and look up and say, okay, this is probably going to be very useful and things like that. Then also seek guidance from mentors on preparing your application. This is very important. If you decide to do it yourself eventually, apply for the whole journey yourself eventually. Like, get people that you can always go back to say, please check my application. Is this okay? Check my this, is this okay? Like, even if it's as simple as paying for maybe consultation somewhere, if you don't have people around you, you could pay for consultation somewhere just to like help them go through like your document to ensure that this makes sense enough. Or sometimes you can reach out to like the school coordinator or one of the professors in the school who is not part of the admission committee and have them like go through your work to try to see if there's like a chance with that. They could also join forums or student communities for tips and advice. That's very important. For most of this scholarship, like join all of these student communities. On LinkedIn, I'm sure they have like Fulbright Scholars community where people come there and talk about different things. Like connect with those people. Like let your LinkedIn, your Twitter, let it be like, let your timeline be filled with things that are really helping you and stay away from like very unnecessary things. As much as you want to be updated with various things, like also join communities that add values to your life. It's very important because you're there to ask to get information. And we have so many people that are coming from Nigeria who are part of like the GSU community currently. Would they reach out for something as simple as how do I get accommodation? Something as simple as can I get someone to pick me up from the airport? Something as simple as when is the deadline? Like it could be very stupid questions sometimes, but it's like you're just there to help them. You're just there to provide them their resources. You're just there to like help people. Because the individuals that you will say something 2 million times and they're still asking you that same question that you've answered 2 million times, it's fine. Just keep answering it in different ways as much as you can. And I'm saying this on the basis of if you are the helper and the helper that is coming to ask you for help. Then also like utilize any of the students association abroad. Apart from joining the forums, if you already know people abroad, go further, join their WhatsApp group. Be there. You will learn about different things. For GSU students currently, you have to be part of our team or part of like the WhatsApp group for you to see different scholarships available. Because if you're not there yet, if you're not like a full student yet, there's some scholarships that they will send out that you're likely not to receive it. So once other students receive it, they would copy it and paste it to the group so that you can see it and let you know. There are even others that are currently even living like their GA position. And they don't want the school to maybe like give it to somebody else. So they're likely to just ask on the group, who is interested in this thing? Or once you mention so, if you have the skills required, they will take you to their supervisor who would help you. And then you will just replace the person instead. So all of this information, you're likely not going to see it on the group till you move closer to try to see how you guys can like help each other one way or the other. So networking is very important. Don't say I'm a shy person, I don't really like talking, blah blah blah. Better start talking now. Better start connecting now. That privacy that you think you have, sometimes you have to throw that privacy away because you need help. Seek that help. It's so important. Like you can't do everything yourself. Seek that help. I know I mentioned earlier that I had a weakness of not being able to work with people. But that's something that I'm really learning so much right now, where I'm like, okay, my opinion should not be the only dominated one right there. Let me listen because I can't do all of these things alone. So seek that help. Like ask questions as much as you can. Seek help. Go to friends and whatsoever. And I am sure everything you think you need would definitely be gotten one way or the other without you even realizing. For some scholarship, after you submit them, I know for Oxford, I guess, after you submit them, they will ask you for interview processes. Like they'll ask you for interview as well. Before you go into the interview, one mistake that people do often, which people that have interviewed for positions in Nigeria, I do this to set them up, which should be a bad thing, but yeah, I do this to set them up by asking them that I could be like, oh, our organization is this. Like, what do you want to know about us? Like, what questions do you have about what we do and things like that? Like, I talk to you in a way that I'm not expecting you to have learned about us, but deep down, I'm expecting you to have done so. So when you now go for that to start asking me and saying, okay, so even tell me, what do people do in this company? I would answer you, but right from that question, we're not moving forward with you because it shows that you don't know how to do research in advance. It's like going to meet someone and you've not even tried to like know them before you go out to meet them. That's a mess. So before you
I'm
go for it,
embarrassed right now. This happened to me yesterday. I feel so embarrassed. I was like missing. Oh my god.
oh,
Please, thank you.
it's okay. Because it also happened to me here as well. Where this one was so weird because it was like it was my friends that were interviewing me for like an internship here in the US in like like in Clemson. I wanted to like work with like the comms department for something. So it was my friends, my guys that were interviewing me. So I just sat down there, I was rolling the chair like this, and I was just talking to them, and I was like, even tell me what do you people even do yourself? And and in a way, I'm thinking we are talking as friends. And when they sent me the rejection, they broke it down straight up to say, see, this is why we don't want you here because you basically don't know what we are here to do. And then you were spinning the chair, you were too comfortable, you didn't look so professional, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, I just messed this up because of the mentality that, okay, he's my friend. So why am I sharing this? You could realize that whoever is interviewing you is someone you're comfortable with. Even if you're comfortable with this person, don't be too comfortable. Show that like you came there prepared. So research about the scholarship organization as clear as you need to. Research about them. Why did they start this whole thing? What is their mission? What is their vision? That could even be your own excuse for why you picked them. That could, if you don't know why you're doing that scholarship, that could be your reason why. For Red Cross, their goal is to help society, give back to the world. That's your own reason to right there. And it tallies with what they want to do too. So you don't have to think of something big or something great or anything of such. Then also practice common questions. I know on LinkedIn, they try as much as they can to get you like common questions that they've asked them. Even some people try to tell you the answers that they gave to all these things. So try to learn those questions. Try to think of how would you have answered it on your own. Like when we are applying for visa interviews, the same way we look for like questions they're likely to ask them. So persons will practice so many questions and they'll only be asked one and they'll say, okay, you're accepted. During my time for my visa interview, oh my God, I had so many questions I had prepared for, so many answers in my head. And all this guy asked me for was, where am I going to? I told him where I was going to. What do I currently do? I told him what I currently do. And all he asked me about was my current job. He didn't ask me anything else about maybe what will I do after my education? What will I do after this one? And I've already prepared for all of those things. He was only interested in what I currently do, what my job is. So while I was explaining my job role was when I now indirectly now told him how like me going for a master's like plays a role into my current job roles and how that would help towards like my career path or something like that. I just used that one question to kill like three birds just in case so that I will not stop and ask me other questions. And all he just said was, okay, it looks like you have like a trail of this career path already, and I'll give you a chance. And everything he said after that, I did not hear. All I just knew was I was going to the US was in my head that, okay, it has been approved. They've collected my passport, told me to come back. I didn't even hear when he told me to come back. But I was already done. Somebody else was already interviewing. So I could not go back to say, sorry, when did you say I should come and pick? Or how will I know when it's ready for me to go to DHL to pick it up or something like that? I didn't know because I didn't hear that part. All I was just so happy about in my head.
Excitement is always out of it.
Exactly. So it's like you should practice, but at the same time, like personalize these questions. Don't say because Samuel says this is how he answered the question. Personalize your own question in a way that it seems very true, in a way that you're telling a story. That even if you forget one word, you don't forget what you want to say because it is who you are. You are true to yourself. Then also be ready to discuss your academic and career goals. Even though you've told them in your SOP, you've told them in your personal goals, you've told them in your resume or in your CV still tell it to them during the interview. Discuss more. And sometimes some people might be interested in like some things you mentioned in your CV and they want you to say more. So if you are lying in your CV, that is where they will catch you. If you lie that you probably have like 10 years of work experience and blah blah blah, then I ask you one question, you're not messing up the job. Oh my gosh. It's like, what is going on? It's like the video that I saw recent of a girl that they were asking her, what school did she go to? She said she went to Covenant University, and they were like, where is the school? She said Benin City. And I'm like, oh my God. Now, if you're even going to lie, prepare. Like, prepare. Know much about this lie before you go there. But I'm not saying that prepare or something like that, though. But as much as you can, make sure that like you are prepared. And also showcase your passion, your leadership commitments, giving back, showcase it. See yourself like a product that you're trying to sell. See yourself like you're trying to market yourself. Like use that period to do it. For my role in Nigeria, when I interview people, which I reference this a lot, I don't tell you things like, oh, tell me more about you and what do you do. I'm like, you have 2 minutes. Sell yourself to me because you're coming into a communication role. I want to ensure that like you can use your words to sell yourself. So now I'm telling you as a person, sell yourself to me. Why do you think you're like a very good person? And when they mean you should sell yourself to them, they are looking at like specific skills you have. You like a very good addition. It's like before you buy a product, you look into like what is that benefit of that product in you to you. So think of things like that when you begin to put like your interview process together. Do not be scared. Practice. See like you're talking to like a friend, but at the same time, do not be too comfortable when you do things like that. Come with points. If this is the computer right here, have a sticky note beside you right here that writes some certain points in one word or two of things that you would like people to know about you. That's absolutely okay. So, common mistakes to avoid. Do not miss deadlines. If you miss deadlines, do not go back to people and then start to try to tell them, oh, can you reopen this thing for me? It's already, the deadline is there. Try not to miss the deadline. And also try as much as you can to not submit generic SOP. Some of us write one SOP and submit it everywhere. Like try to tailor it. That makes more sense. It shows that you put work into it. Then do not also provide like weak or incomplete documents. You can know if something is weak because you've already reached out to like colleagues, you reached out to consulting firms that have helped you go through it and told you to change some things. So try to change those things and ensure that whatever you are uploading online is well uploaded in a way that it doesn't look incomplete or any of such. Then also try as much as you can not to overlook small details. It could be something as simple as how you formatted something as simple as not putting comma where it's supposed to be. Like be very intentional. Then lastly, proofread your essays and your application. I, as a person, personally hate to do that. I hate to like write like a research work, for example, and go back to read them. So because I don't want to go back to read them, once I'm done with my literature review, or once I'm done with any page, I reread that page before I go to the next one. I reread the page before I go to the next one because I don't want to go back to read them. That's a bad habit. But for you, try as much as you can to reread your application, proofread for any errors, just in case there's a problem somewhere. All right. So we've already mentioned all of this. How can it transform your future? We already talked about them. It exposes you to like new culture. It helps you get access to like world-class research. It helps you develop like critical skills because you realize that in the process of applying for this scholarship, you're beginning to think more critically about yourself because it's more of like you, and how do you sell yourself. So that's a skill you learn right there. Then you also help increase like job opportunities both abroad and in your home country because if it shows that you were a Fulbright scholar, that gets you into that door. It shows that you were like a Mastercard scholar. That gets you into that door more than you can think of. Then you also like gives you an opportunity to like contribute to your host community without thinking so much on how do I pay tuition or seeing yourself as like you are limited with things one way or the other. So this basically brings us to the end of the presentation. And now I am open for questions and everything that I have been seeing in the comments. We can begin to like pick them one way or the other.
Thank you so much, Fumi. Guys, please let us know, how has this session been? This has been such a great time. I mean, we're not just communicators. It just dawned on me that we are two people in the travel space. I'm like, okay, two communicators in the international education space.
Right.
all of you the things that we know. For me, thank you so much. This has been such an amazing session.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you. Guys, please let us know what has been your experience. Please feel free to share these videos with people that are not here. This video, I meant to say, I'm going through this questions. So we had lots of questions. So let us see. If you have your questions, feel free to drop. Feel free to share your experience. What have you learned from the class so far? Okay. Trying to bring them up. We've got some question. Okay, this is one. Okay. Hello, Funmilayo. How are they able to distinguish students who truly have needs and those who don't? I think you've explained this, right? Okay.
But it's just based on like evidence. Just submitting evidence is just like the most important thing.
Mm.
So you're saying that like you are really poor. How can you show the evidence? Like how can you show that you really are? Like from the way you tell a story, I can tell if you're like lying or if you're being truthful. Like tell the story in a way that like people relate deeply into it. And if you're someone that really needs something because you truly need it, people will tell from like the motivation behind what you put into it. So that's the way you can do it. That sounds like a generic way, but that's like the best way that I think you can by providing evidence.
Thank you. It says my teacher used to tell me that in USA it's hard for international students to find scholarships. You give me hope, but that's not even true.
Yeah, to some extent, yes, but can you find? Yes, just put in the work and that's it.
I think they even have more scholarship than most countries.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
oh yes,
The
yes.
US has, if you are looking for full funding scholarships, the US has more scholarship than most countries.
Yes, for sure. Yes, we do.
So someone says, can I get any school in USA where I get fully funded PhD in chemical engineering?
Yes. And in fact, I'll tell you one thing. If you're doing a PhD in the US and you are paying, something is wrong.
Oh.
Something is wrong because every PhD is fully funded.
Fully funded. Like I used to say, I can't imagine anybody going to pay for a PhD. Use
Right.
that money and go and start business. Because you are doing a research to contribute to the society and the organization's looking to fund you.
Exactly.
You just need to do the thorough research because it's so much money for 3 years. How much you want to pay each year? Study abroad is expensive.
Yes. My PhD is 4 years, so
you can imagine. So it's PhD in education courses like math, blah blah blah.
You can. Yeah. So this person PhD in education, yes. Some PhD in education fall under STEM. In fact.
Okay.
So yes, they are PhD in education, but they just call it PhD education. So it is where during your own research, you now focus either in chemistry or focus in math, but it is PhD education. Or maybe you can probably do PhD in chemistry and not go into education if you wish.
All right, thank you.
Don't go into education one way or the other.
So do one have to gain admission before applying for scholarship, or is it that applying for scholarships can lead to gaining admission?
No. So like you can do it simultaneously, but you can do it simultaneously while you're applying for this admission. Also apply for scholarship behind it. But if you're applying for a scholarship, they should be able to know what you want to use it to pay for. So there must need to be like an admission somewhere or a guarantee that there'll be an admission. But I would just advise that if you don't have an admission yet, it makes more sense to do it simultaneously. So that by the time the scholarship is ready to give it to you, admission has already entered and then scholarship just showcase immediately.
Yeah. Thank you. With scholarship opportunity, does the proof of financial need necessary? So more like saying is proof of fund necessary? If
some persons will ask you for the scholarships, they'll ask you to show like your proof of fund, but that's very rare.
Living expense, and it depends on your scholarship. If your scholarship is fully funded and includes living expense, now some scholarship can cover just your tuition, it will not cover your living expense. So if you want to apply for your visa, for instance, now they would need to see proof of your living expense. Living expense is like your money for feeding and the rest of them. Why some scholarship will cover everything, like Shivning, Commonwealth scholarship, this scholarship, Fulbright. I think Fulbright covers everything. So you don't have to show any money. Some scholarship might be partial, some amount, so it just depends. But if you get a fully funded scholarship that covers both your living expense, you don't have to bother about proof of funds. So is research in research proposal, can the applicant initiate the topic in the field of study?
You can initiate a topic, but the thing is, you have to submit an introduction, a literature review, and your proposed method section. That might take a while for you to put together, or you could just submit your research work that you've done in your undergrad and submit that. But if this is something you're really passionate about, take time to write literature review. Make sure that it is not plagiarized and write your method section and how you think you want them to move forward with it. And they often tell you your page limit. So yeah, it's possible if you think you have the time.
Okay, thank you so much. Guys, please, before we proceed, we are going to send a link on the WhatsApp group right now. Fumi has a research that she's carrying out, and she would need some participants, and it's actually like free. You're not paying anything for it. You just go there and register if you want to have like a one-on-one. Fumi, you can please talk about it briefly. I'm going to post it on the group now.
Yes. So I'm trying, like I mentioned earlier, that I had like a different research path, and now I'm doing something differently right now. So my research is really into like the relationship between we humans and the computer systems that we use. Like, how do we interact with our phones? What's the psychology behind thinking like a certain phone is better than the other or something like that? But I don't just stop at that. I go into like some certain features that we use. So I'm currently doing a research on how we Nigerians understand privacy on social media. So it's privacy on social media. How does it make sense to you? So I'm trying to understand that. And I'm doing this research because currently in the Western world, there's almost nothing that really explains like Africans in a way. Like every study around privacy related to Africans is done by South Africans to some extent. So we really need more study in like Nigeria, Ghana, and things like that. So that when these people are developing products for us in future, they're really taking consideration into like what we need as a people and doing that, like putting those features into place so that they are designing for basically like our needs and not just for the basis of what the US thinks is what they need and they just send it to us as something we should keep using as well. So the link that I'm looking at people from 18 to 35-year-old. And if it's something that you think you are available to do via Zoom, WebEx, or probably you're available via phone call, I would love to do that as well. I do not mind. And the link that is being attached is just for you to show like your interest. So once you show your interest, I will personally send you an email to let you know. And then we'll just pick like a date for us to meet one-on-one and us talk about the whole research work. So I'll really appreciate this if you all can like be a part of it. Thank you. So back to question.
All right, thank you. Someone is asking for sample for this thing. Now, we're not going to give you a sample now, but there is another announcement we'll make, which it's like going to provide more personalized guide. What's the exact grade one should get to qualify for scholarship?
The grade is whatever they've asked you for in the scholarship application. Whatever scholarship you're applying for, they'll tell you the grade that they need right there. So just follow the instructions right there.
Okay, so he says some schools limit the number of pages for the CV. How would you send a 15-page CV when particular school requires 2? That means you have to stick with what they said.
Yes, you stick with what they say. But if they don't have a requirement, example, like there's a CV, there's a resume. A resume is what you use for your job. But for your CV, especially if you're someone who has so many publications, you have so many things, 2 pages might not be enough. But if they tell you to make it 2 pages only, focus more on that thing about yourself that you've done that is related more to like the argument you want to make for that scholarship or for the scholarship itself.
Or you can also have an extra attachment that it's not like additional documents. So your CV and then there's like the extra attachments. So it says, I have already enrolled for a PhD in Nigeria and have my proposal ready in communication, sustainable development, and political science. What are my chances given consideration for age? I am 48 years. So I want to know, this person that asked this question, you can let us know. Are you talking about, oh, okay, he's already enrolled. So sorry, Afumi, please proceed.
So age is not a number. Sorry, age is nothing but a number. Like you can apply. You can absolutely apply. Like, don't let your age limit you. The fact that you already even started a PhD in Nigeria already, that's okay. You can apply to do another PhD right here. That's fine. I have a friend who just finished his second PhD, and all of us are like, "What? Why were you? What were you thinking?" He did his PhD in UI, and he just finished his second PhD in Clemson. So it's okay if you want to do a PhD again. Come on along, go ahead and do it. Your age is not the limit, nothing
And
at all.
tells a lot about your resilience.
Yeah.
Okay. Trying to get more question. Meaning we need to write different. Somebody's asking. Meaning we need to write different SOPs for. Oh, of course. It has to be tailored to the one that you are applying to.
Right. Yes. It has to be tailored.
So I'm considering a PhD program in the USA which had GRE as requirement. How do I go around this since I do not have intentions of writing GRE?
So the first thing that I'll tell you to do is reach out to the grad coordinator of that program and ask them if they have an opportunity for you to waive a GRE. If they say no, then we're almost screwed that you have to write it. But if they say yes, then go ahead and submit the other things and let it be. Or some other schools might say it's not required, but it's recommended. When they say things like that, it's almost like a clause, but just make sure that the other things that you're submitting are very strong. And that will be a very great start.
Thank you. So, what is the clear difference between admission and scholarships?
Yeah, so admission scholarships, they work hand in hand, but they are two different things. So admission is like being admitted into like a university. It's almost the same process, but it's just that like you're submitting one to a school, you're submitting one to like let's say an organization or something like that. So scholarship is just like being able like you trying to like secure funding to pay for your school, which you've gotten through an admission. But the processes are almost the same thing because they have the same requirements, but you're just writing different reasoning for both of them.
Thank you. One difficulty I'm having is how to find a supervisor to work with me. All of them keep rejecting me. How do I navigate my way through?
See, I feel this person.
Mm.
See, I feel this person, honestly. I know the university that does these things are mostly Canadian schools. Canadian schools are the ones that will ask you to like find a professor to work with before you go in to work with them. Now, and for that kind of situation, it's sure say you go enter, is where they are telling you that find one somebody a professor first before you get in. So with PhDs, something that I probably omitted is sometimes the person that is paying your tuition is actually your professor, is the one paying your tuition. And that's because they got funding from an organization. While
Yeah.
sometimes person paying your tuition is like the department as a whole, if meaning like the department as a whole needs your help. Currently, my department is the one paying me because I am teaching. Like if you go through GSU page right now, I am listed in there as like a lecturer because I teach. So the department is paying me. While there are others who goes into research as looking into like terrorism and things like that, those people are being sponsored by the US government. So it's the US government that is paying their tuition and things like that. So it might take a very this is very complicated. One thing I probably would say is check again. Are you submitting something that is making them reject you? Are
Yeah.
are you speaking to a research interest that they have or not? And an expo I will give is look for these professors, their most recent publication. At the end of that most recent publication, look for something that they said that like coming research should work on. Tell them you're interested in that and let's see how it goes.
And then you can ask for feedback. Ask some of them, like you need to know like why you were not accepted, what areas you could improve on. That will help you on your subsequent applications.
Yes.
Someone says some of the schools require that you mention names of likely faculty you would like to work with. What is your take on this? Oh, this is like similar to what we just talked about.
Yes. So if they in your SOP, they'll tell you write it there. Yes, go ahead and write who you want to work with. That doesn't mean they'll pick you eventually. But yeah, for my PhD, the person I wanted to work with apparently retired during my first year, and I didn't know this person retired, so they had to fix me with somebody else entirely. So write it the person you're interested in, and also include why you want to pick this person. Why are they your first choice? Why are they not your last choice? Like make an argument for why this person is who you really want to work with, and it goes back into you learning so much about that faculty's work as well, and familiarizing yourself with their work.
All right, thank you. At some time, I was involved in locally based NGO with friends as a group in which we carried out many programs to help my community. We did some, okay, so the person is just saying that this is important. Yes, very important. Okay. Okay, so someone says some US universities don't explicitly state that they waive the English test on their websites, but it's usually a requirement for international students. Will it still be advisable to send code emails? Yes.
So for your English waiver, most schools they waive it, especially for West African countries that speak
Yeah.
English. They do. So you're probably looking at the wrong side of the website. Go into like they said they require waiver. Some of them also included that these are the countries that are exempted from like waivers. They tell you which countries are exempted from writing those waivers. Check if Nigeria, if Ghana, or if South Africa is, then click on it. They just have it like generalized international students. It's because they've generalized us with like some Asian countries and things like that. So go deep into that website first. Because if the answer is on the website, even if you send the code email, they'll give you that link to go back and look at that information. That's something Oyinbo knows how to do very well. If the answer is somewhere and they're already thinking that you should already go there and check, and you did not go there to check, they'll send you that same link to go back and go and check.
Yeah. And thanks to Ebenezer Wikina and his foundation, and they actually pushed a lot for this to actually stop
Yeah.
West African students from writing IELTS. So
Yeah.
most USA and some other countries are actually compliant. So reach out
Yes.
to them, like she mentioned. So
Yeah.
someone says at 53, what are the chances of scholarship for a PhD program? I think we've talked about this, right?
PhD is free, and age is not, is nothing but a number.
Put in the best application and trust me, you'll be picked.
Yes.
So is it a must that I write IELTS or Duolingo test to get a scholarship? Depends on what I think we talked about this.
Follow the requirements. What are they asking you to submit? If they didn't ask you for IELTS, don't write it, except they ask.
Okay. I'm currently running my master's degree and would be done next August, so by God's grace. Do you recommend I start sending out applications even if I'm not done and my transcript is not ready?
So, oh goodness, yes, you could. Yes, you could. And I'm saying yes because when I applied for my master's, when I applied for like my PhD, I just finished the first semester of my second year of master's. So the second masters are not received it. So one thing they will do with this is the current transcript that you have, even though you are not done, submit that one. So by the time you finish, when you get into the departments, they'll now start asking you for like an official transcript, which they will ask your school to send to them. So it's fine. Go ahead and apply with the current transcripts that you have. But I don't know. I know Nigerian schools do not really give you transcript till you graduate. But if you can find someone that you talk to that can get you the transcript of where you are currently, yes, of where you are currently, that's okay. You can submit that as well. And then when you are done, you will not send them like the official transcript.
All right, thank you so much. Think
But I want to say thank you to everyone that has been applying. I'm seeing 17 responses already. Like, thank you. Thank you.
So someone is asking, right? Hi, Farah, I'm from Ghana and I've completed my master's in education. Would like tailored advice. So we have a program, right? Should you want to have a one-on-one consultation session with Fumi and I, we are open to having consultation. This is like the first time in the history of our industry, in the history of like arolf, that we are agreeing to have personalized consultation. And this is because of the number of requests we have had. Our schedules are very crazy. For me, as a PhD student, you know what it takes. I know how it takes to actually reach her, including the fact that she's teaching and she's so busy. I have a very busy schedule, but we have decided that we're going to commit to this, seeing that a lot of people actually really need our support. So if you want to have a one-on-one session with us, we will make available a link for you to have that session with us, but it comes with a fee. And if you're paying with Naira, it's actually 100,000 Naira. If you are paying in dollars, like maybe for those in Ghana or any other country, it's $100. So it's actually pretty affordable for the quality of service you would have. You can see how very like open, detailed we are, providing you relevant information. Imagine what you're getting for free. Now, try to imagine what you will get when it's a paid service. So if you want to have a one-on-one consultation, you can feel free to. I'm going to provide a link here and we're just going to provide it on the WhatsApp group to book a session with us. It's a personalized session that gives you like, if you have questions, for those of you that you don't know what course to apply for, your experience, where should you look out? We're just going to like literally look at your experience, look at your history, and be able to make recommendations. We are not going to apply for that scholarship for you. That's the truth, because that comes at a very expensive cost. The last person whom I was supposed to actually handle scholarship application for, he was charged £2,000, and that's like in naira. That was 4 million naira, and that was the last I was going to charge. He was ready to pay, but I had so much at the time that I couldn't take it up. So imagine like if you have to, like if we have to do the process for you, do everything, and you get scholarship at the end of the day, it's going to be so expensive because we are saving you money. The money you would use to pay for your school fees. School fees abroad is expensive. So 4 million naira compared to the millions you spend is absolutely nothing. But to have a one-on-one session with us for proper guide, then 100,000 naira. And then if you are paying from another currency, that's going to be £100. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm in the UK, so it's so easy for me to always mention pounds. It's going to be $100, and this is open for the next 1 week. This rate is going to go high, and of course, our schedule is going to get like a lot more tighter. So you have from now and like next 7 days to make that payment if you want to continue. So for this person, we can't really, if you need a tailored advice, like you mentioned, it means that you need to have a session one-on-one with us. All right, I'm going to get to more questions. Okay. I'm just going to drop that here. Hold a second. So if you want to make I don't know how to drop two at once, but yeah. So yes, if you are paying with Naira, this is the link. You can click on it. It's going to be available on the group. Yes, or a personalized session with Fumi and I. And then if you are paying no, payments cannot be made in installments. Someone is asking. No way. You definitely cannot be paying $100 in installments. Sorry. No way. It's not in installments, please. Thank you. If we were charging like very high fee, I mean, when I go for consultations, I pay as high as $250 for a 1 hour consultation. Sometimes for very brief consultation that I'm just gonna have for like 30 minutes, and I'm paying the high. So just have to. So I'm going to read some questions. My wife is an educationist with a passion for early childhood. She currently has a PhD in education and a BSc in arts. I'm looking for her to do a PhD at specific opportunities she can. To do her PhD, at just specific opportunities she can.
Yes, you can go from BSc straight to PhD. And
Yeah.
that's okay. But it depends on what she wants to do. I think you said education. Yeah,
Yes.
that works out. And right now in the US, I'm even looking for people that will teach like all this like
Yeah.
early childhood and things like
Exactly. And she has early childhood.
yeah, so that's like a very good thing. She should just go ahead and look at the education and then look for like a professor again that buys her idea. Then that gives her more chances of getting in.
And you might want to book a session with us actually to go deeper into this. Okay, I have Master in Library and Information Science from University of Ibadan, and I'm interested in scholarship to pursue PhD in Library and Information Science. I hope it covers this area. Oh yeah, it does.
I'm sorry, can I be seeing the question up here?
Okay, sorry.
Okay. I have a master's in library and information science from University of Ibadan. I'm interested in scholarship towards my PhD in library and information science. How necessary. Yeah. But then when you're applying for your PhD, you can probably see other things that you're interested in related to like library and information science. Why not maybe focus more on information science or something like that? So that's one. Then I think there should actually be another webinar that talks to people more about like how to pick what course to study. Because in Nigeria restricts us to the idea of if you did art, you must go into art all through. But people are going from art into sciences. So that could work one way or the other.
All right, thank you. So, in a situation where, okay, there's a question here. All right.
Oh, yes. This is really good. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, and explain so much what your role was in this. Yes, please. Yes.
Okay.
Wait, you were once spearheaded the building of a community school through a grant. So it means that you trying to find this scholarship to contribute. Like, are you trying to get the money from this scholarship to keep building the school? That's one thing. And then if you say you spearheaded the building of that school through a grant, I don't know if it really sounds like someone that really needs the money one way or the other. It sounds like yeah, trying to apply for a scholarship to try to get more money to continue building this. So I don't think it falls into like scholarship into like evidence to say you need something, but it falls into like an evidence to say that like you've given back to your community. So yes, this falls into impacts, but if the scholarship is for collecting money to do this, then maybe not. Yeah, she said there's a follow-up statement to that. I would be looking forward to that.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. She said more like if you could spearhead a school building, why can't you get money to fund your education?
Exactly. So it's more like if you can spare the school building to develop schools, so why can't you as a person find money for your education? I think you cannot twist this argument to go into the fact that like the community where you come from, there's probably no school, but I don't want us to use the victim card. But you can use this one to explain the fact that like there's probably no school in the community where you come from and things like that. And then you think that like getting this money is something you really need in a way that like you don't have a community that like sponsors education. You don't have a family that sponsors education, but you've been able to like help get grants, but the grant has only been towards building schools. However, now you also want to give back to yourself is why you're trying to look for like opportunities that can also like help you. But more evidence needs to go into that as well. Like, are you the first person to go to uni in your household, or are you the first person to be doing like a master's degree in your household? There has to be more information to give into that as well.
Thank you so much. Do we have scholarship for NGO-based research like African and West African and Western perception of impact?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do, but it's like very rare. They're only mostly focused more on like climate change issues, environmental issues, and things like that. So if it's something you're interested in, that works. That works.
All right, thank you. Is primary language in Nigeria English? Okay, yes.
Our official language in Nigeria is English. If one does not have a publication here, we don't affect anything. But no, when I applied for my PhD, I didn't even have publication. It's when I started my PhD, I now have publications. I did not. So no.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Excellent communication skills by you both. So we happen to be communicators. So can you share useful links for scholarships? If you are looking for a scholarship, it means that you should be ready to do the work. But yeah, that's like something we might look into later on. So many standardized tests are to prove English. Okay, someone is just writing. Okay. Please, is it possible to get fully funded scholarship without a single publication? Yeah, she just mentioned. Okay, so he said, can you speak a bit more about graduate assistantship and the processes involved in that route for funding? Also, tips to increase.
For graduate assistantship, you know those jobs that they will say come and teach in a primary school or secondary school, you will say no. Grab them. If NYSC takes you to one local school to go and teach and you're like, no, you want to work in an office, better stay in that school. And I really think it's the fact that I did have like teaching experience from like NYSC period really helped me. So graduate assistantship is in two things. You're either like a teaching assistant or you're either like a researcher. One of those two things. Or you're either both. Currently, I am both. I help my art supervisor do research and at the same time, I teach students. But the difference with a PhD is I'm the one that develops like my syllabus and all of those things myself compared to maybe like having a professor teaching the class and you just being there. So with all of those, like graduate assistantship is the one that I mentioned that the school is paying your tuition, but you're working for them in return, then at the long run, they are paying you. Do you understand? Then they are paying you. Some people can be paying you as much as 40K, as little as 12K. It all depends on how much they pay you, but they pay you based on the places you are in. Those in New York are probably earning more than those of us in Atlanta or those of us in somewhere else. Like we all earn differently depending on location. So to do this is as simple as having good grades, because I want to ensure that if you're going to teach their students, do you have very good grades? Can they trust you? And do you have the work experience in the past to show that like you've taught before? And all of those things. So that is what it entails. And some schools will tell you that if you want to be considered for a GA, add your CV to it. So once you add your CV, it means that like you're in the pool for something like that. So they'll definitely put you in. So all of these things again to increase your chances of being picked, have the teaching experience, have some research experience, and also like have good grades.
All right. Thank you so much, Fumi. We have spent over 2 hours and 30 minutes in this meeting. We're going to pick 3 more questions or 2, and we'll be done with these. Let me just see quickly. Two more questions. I think we're done. Okay. So thanks so much for this educational program. Is it advisable for me to apply for a PhD with a master's from Ekiti State University
Yes.
with a 3.58 grade? That's a 2-1.
That's a good grade. Yes. For
That's a
sure.
2. Yeah. Guys, please, in case you've not followed this channel, this is my YouTube channel. So I share like tips for people who want to study abroad. If you're traveling to a new country, what to expect. And aside educational things, I love to travel a lot. So sometimes I get to share like my travel experiences. So please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a notification, and you can go back to watch previous videos. Now, if you go back, you would see a video that says Study Abroad, the Ultimate Guide. That video for people that are looking at studying in the UK, in the USA, Ireland, or Canada, I did a thorough breakdown. It's a 1-hour video that breaks down everything you need to consider before choosing a country to study in. So if you want to study in any of these countries and you're wondering which is a good fit for me, that video actually explains them, gives you hints about the educational system, duration for their program, cost for each of those countries, and then things like career opportunities, salary range in those countries. Can you travel with your family? Can you stay back after studies? How long do you stay back? What is the pathway for citizenship? So if you stay back for like certain number of years, how do you become a citizen? Because most people who are looking out for traveling, they're looking out for countries where they could build a life, build meaningful career, even though they want to come back to their country later on. So if you are studying or if you travel with your family, can your spouse work in that country? What opportunities do you have? Like it literally breaks it down to the visa application process. I would really advise you that you watch that video so that you can have a very good perspective of the different countries. So someone asked, okay, someone's asking, what's the difference? I think this is like the last question we're going to take. What is the difference between fellowship and scholarship?
Amazing. So, fellowship and scholarship are 2 different things, but they are towards the same goal, one way or the other. I might be very wrong. This is a disclaimer, but I know scholarship does more of like paying your tuition. It does more with like related things. It pays your tuition fully. However, fellowship can include paying your tuition, paying for like your research work. For example, if I probably have like research work I want to do, I could be a part of a fellowship that will sponsor that. Or you probably just be like a part of a fellowship that is towards like maybe like your career goals one way or the other. But like everything works towards like career advancement. So if you win a scholarship, a fellowship today, it goes further into like they pay for everything your research, everything your school, everything career path one way or the other. But it's like you're accountable and working for somebody. Compared to scholarship where you're not accountable to anybody but yourself because you already won the money and it's just for you to like keep doing good. But I know that for Fulbrights, you are accountable because you have to have like some certain CGPA to maintain. But with fellowship, it's like you have someone that you are tied to. It's like winning a research grant, something like that, but it's not not in that context. But with a fellowship, you're like attached to something, attached to someone that is often there to just check in with you to ensure that like you guys are working towards the same research areas and things like that.
Thank you so much, Fumi. Thank you, everybody. It's been such an amazing session. We're so glad for those that have joined us. Please don't forget, if you want to have a one-on-one personalized session with us, you can use our service by you can use any of our services. If you are in Nigeria, you can book a one-on-one consultation. This is not something we do often. If we get a certain number, we might just stop at that and guide a few people that we want to guide. We like to work with be very specific, right? If we want to work with these people, we know that, oh, we want to actually watch you achieve this goal. We're going to push you through that. If we are not doing, it means that we're not doing. If we say we're doing, it means that we are doing it and we're going to support you. And we're definitely not going to work with a handful of people so we don't get overwhelmed and it doesn't clash with our personal schedule. So the link is going to be available on the WhatsApp group if you want to have this session with us, one-on-one, detailed breakdown, everything you need to know. We are going to look at your documents, like give you guide, and then of course, when you get to write your essay, we could just review one essay, which gives you like a guide for the other ones. If you want more support, then there's going to be like a tailored plan for that. So if you're paying in Naira, that's like 100,000 Naira. If you're paying in dollars, that's $100. Like, I mean, that's pretty, very considerate of us. So thank you. Feel free to follow us, Arolf International Consult. We're on Instagram, Arolf International Consult. We're on Facebook, Arolf International Consult. We're on LinkedIn, Arolf International Consult. If you have more questions, you might want to reach us, info at Arolf International Consult. And then, of course, you can visit our website, www.arolfconsult.com, and you will get the relevant guide that you need. Fumi, thank you so much. It's been such a wonderful time. Guys, let's say something to Fumi. I mean, Fumi is so busy considering the time difference between the USA and the UK. She's taking the time. Let's just appreciate Fumi. Share your love to Fumi. Please, 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 please. Let's appreciate. Can this come? Oh, yes, this can go over masters. Yes, Daniel is asking a question. Yes, this consultation can go over masters actually. Like if you want to do a master program, you want to talk about it, what country you want to look into, we would have a very tailored personalized session. So yes, it can. Thank you so much. Thank you, Fumi. It's been a wonderful time. Guys, please, I want to see the comment section. What do you have to say to Fumi? Let me see, please. Okay, someone asked, we're not taking questions again, but someone asked what's the maximum age limit?
There is no age limit.
For PhD, age is not like a thing.
There is no age limit.
No, it's not. As long as like you have your reasons, you have your strong things to tie, nobody's going to limit you from taking out your research.
Yes. I currently have a classmate who is 60. So
you can imagine.
It's just not a limit.
Thank you so much, Fumi. Thank you all for coming. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel, watch the videos, and thank you. Have a great time. We wish you the best in your endeavors. If you are applying for your PhD or a master program next year or whenever you do, we pray that you find favor. We just pray that you get the right support that you need on your journey. If you want to work with us on this journey too, we are here. We will take you through the step one at a time. Fumi has secured full funding for her PhD. I secured full funding for my master program, and I've gone on to guide other people who have secured. And Fumi is also an expert in this field too. So it means that you are being guided by people who are experts and people who have experienced this themselves. So we're just not interested in your money alone. For someone that said the money was too much, no, the money is not like a big deal for us, but you need to commit to something. Thank you very much and have a wonderful, wonderful time, everyone.
Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day. Bye.